Official stamps and labels right from your home or office computer for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, just leave it for your mail carrier, schedule a free package pickup, or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. That's Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
This morning, President Trump delivered a scathing virtual address to the
harshly criticizing China during his annual address to the UN General Assembly.
We must hold accountable the nation which unleashed this plague onto the world, China. In the earliest days of the virus, China locked down travel domestically while allowing flights to leave China and infect the world.
The president has long blamed Beijing for its handling of the coronavirus, which originated in Wuhan, China. The president has repeatedly called on the international community to investigate China's actions. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
Vanessa Bryant, the widow of Kobe Bryant, has filed a lawsuit against the Los Angeles County Sheriff, claiming deputies shared unauthorized photos of the crash that killed her husband, their 13-year-old daughter, and 7 others. Another restaurant chain reorganizing.
It's the Onion Radio News. Teen sex is linked to alcohol and drugs by the Center for Figuring Out Really Obvious Things. This is Doyle Redland reporting. An exhaustive 4-year, $23 million study of substance abuse and sexual habits of more than 2,500 American teens has confirmed that young people between the ages of 13 and 18 who drink and or use drugs are more likely to be sexually active. Dr. Gerald Eckersley is director of the Boston-based organization.
We found that this phenomenon also occurs among adults as well as every population everywhere in the world that has ever existed since the dawn of time.
The center has sent a teleprompter-ready press release of its findings to more than 400 local TV news affiliates across the U.S., along with stock video footage of beer displays and teens smoking and drinking at parties. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
In a deal policymakers have hailed as a decisive step towards combating the rapidly escalating national debt, the United States settled 0.02 millionth of a percent of its debt to China this week with a single autographed photograph of John Hamm. The sale of the glossy signed headshot of the acclaimed actor, which China reportedly accepted for a financial easement of approximately $150 out of America's estimated $1.3 trillion in obligations, concludes a 6-month negotiation between the two parties.
The decision was obviously not an easy one, but without question, this was the right choice for our nation's future.
And in this week's science news, a distant planet is terrified that it might be able to someday support human life. In other news, a live cow is lowered onto the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. The majority of an office's supplies are used to apply for different jobs, and a lapsed cult member only attends sanctum on major bloodletting holidays.
This is the Onion News Network.
Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. Take control of the airwaves here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the new call-in lines that are not Discord, but are now Matrix? Is that the right word for it? I think we should call it, I don't know what we should call it. It's a Matrix server. We haven't discussed it on the air yet. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But there's instructions on how you can call in via this new method where you will sound better than if you call in on the phone. You can go to chat.lrn.fm and you get step-by-step instructions on how to do all that. Chat.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And it's Aria.
So there are more than every server you host using the Matrix. Is so it's plural. You would have to figure out what is the plural of the matrix. There's only one matrix, right?
Matrices.
Matrices.
Matrixi.
Well, no, matrices. It's with a C, right? M-A-T-R-I-C-E-S.
So the matrices.
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 Matrix pluralized is matrices, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But does that roll off the tongue? Do people hear that and pick up on it?
You just say the Matrix server.
Yeah,
because it's a Matrix server. It's like there's no need to get into the technology.
How about the LRN Matrix?
Essentially, it's decentralized. It's Fediverse. It's federated. LRN Matrix, sure, yeah. But that doesn't describe what it is. Of course, then again, Discord didn't describe what Discord was either. So.
No, so many people think that Discord means like conversation for some reason. Like the hateful James is like the so-called Discord server where there's no actual Discord. I'm like, dude, there's plenty of Discord, and it's all coming from you.
I think he might be confusing Discord with Discourse,
which would have made more sense as a name.
Yeah, and there actually is a plugin, or not plugin, but that's what the forum software actually is. The forum software that we use at forum.freetalklive.com that almost no one uses is the Discourse forums.
I didn't even know we had a forum.
Give it another. If Discord survives, give it another 10 years, and all the millennials who have used it and who have loved it and used it as to actually communicate well with their fellow human being will change the meaning of Discord to mean more something like discourse.
Could be. Discord, of course, is disagreement.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Another human being. So anyway, if you want to go to chat.lrn.fm, you get the instructions on how to get connected to the chat server, and then also how to call in via that method. But we also have the old toll-free lines at 855-450-FREE. All right, so you were going to come with me this morning, Aria, but it was just you were up too late playing video games.
Well, I wasn't playing video games. I was working. No, I wasn't.
I saw you playing video games.
Yeah, but I stopped that at like midnight. No, it was about 1 that I stopped playing, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I mean, after that, I wrote an article. I got back to some work. And
you've been busy. Yeah, you've been really busy, and I don't blame you for not making it today. It was actually a good thing you didn't, because you had some important stuff to get done today.
And it got done, and
it did get done.
So far, positive.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to go to the Cantwell trial.
So did I.
Yeah, Christopher Cantwell. Well, it's not over, so you could go. Christopher Cantwell, former co-host here on Free Talk Live, who we fired, I don't know, 2015 or I think it was 2015.
For being a Nazi.
He became, I don't think he was personally using that term at the time, but he was becoming a racist at that time. And then he went all the way down the rabbit hole and became a Nazi, and ultimately became known as the Crying Nazi, because of some incident down in Charlottesville, Virginia, where Nazis fought with some Antifa people or something like that. And he ended up in jail for several months down there, took a guilty plea on a misdemeanor charge, ended up coming back to New Hampshire, where he has an apartment. And then earlier this year in January was raided at about 3 a.m. He was...
why do they do it at 3 a.m., man?
Because they expect you to be asleep.
Okay.
In his case, he was awake, pantsless, apparently, and playing his Nintendo.
I don't know why that's funny.
It is funny.
I hate that he was arrested.
It's horrible.
It is, but
occasionally...
if you're going to get arrested, that's how you should get arrested. Was he drunk?
They didn't say.
Probably. Well, when I walk around the house and I'm looking odd, I'll pass by a mirror or something. I'm like, I'm looking quite naked at this moment in time. and then I'm like, man, if the feds got me right now, I would be really embarrassed. Or it's really cold outside, and when I'm getting dragged from my...
That's no fun.
And I'm thinking, are they going to give me the opportunity to put some clothes on?
Depends on who you're dealing with. It totally depends on the
agents. Did they let
agents.
Cantwell get dressed?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I know I was in jail with a guy when I was in for civil disobedience. He was in there for selling an ounce of weed to some college students or something like that. And, well, he was in there, and I don't remember what his sentence was. Must have been less than a year because he was in jail. But he was basically dragged out in his boxer shorts in the middle of winter.
For an ounce of pot.
Yeah. This was by Keene Police, mind you. Right. So you never know who it's going to be.
My one stint with the law, they actually gave me a shirt at the jail, and I still have it, I think.
Wow!
I'm not surprised you still have it.
We can talk.
You probably still wear it.
Sam Dodson
saves you a trip to Walmart, right?
Exactly.
You weren't here when Sam Dodson was living here, right? He's got the best story. He went into jail back when there was the Westmoreland jail, so the old jail here in Keene. And they kept him in there because he was refusing to tell them his name. So he was like John Doe, basically, to the court. Like, ultimately, they figured out who he was because it was he was in the news, and somebody did the research. Somebody did some detective work and figured out what his name was. But because he wouldn't say it, they kept him in there on contempt of court for I think 60 days, roughly.
Jesus.
And then he never told him his
Kudos to him, man. I would have just given my name.
It's amazing. That's the kind of...
Yeah, but you have a job and stuff. I mean, you have to...
True, he didn't have a job to show up to. He was kind of working for himself.
Well, even if I didn't, I would have just given my name because I don't want to sit in jail for 60 days.
Still, it was an interesting thing.
It's fascinating. Kudos to him, man.
And here's the best part about it. After 60 days, he hadn't given his name. He's still there for contempt of court or whatever, and then they just gave him his stuff and told him, you're out. And they pushed him out the side door of the jail with his full orange jumpsuit on.
Wow.
So he actually left the jail, managed to somehow get in touch with one of us. We came down, picked him up.
He's walking down the highway with his orange suit.
I forget
That's probably
how it
not
happened.
a safe thing to do. Some redneck will see you and decide to go vigilante on you.
I don't know if that'll happen in New Hampshire, but you never
Probably
know.
not.
Well.
Anyway, he made it, and he came into Free Talk Live that night with the orange jumpsuit on, sat in, and told the story.
That is awesome.
I bet you they had never seen anything like that.
No, I bet they hadn't either.
It's like, what do we do? I mean, every morning they're scratching their head. Who's that guy in... he's still here? What do we do about this guy? I don't know. We just kind of sit on it a couple more days.
Yeah, and you have to wonder when you go into a lot of these businesses these days now that are with the mask mandates, and we're going to talk about that coming up here because I had a bit of a mask adventure here in Fear World, this medical authoritarian hellscape that we have found ourselves in, is how many times have they gone up against this? How many times have people gone in to the federal courthouse, for instance, and refused to wear a mask and tried to get into the courthouse, not with violence or anything like that, but I filed a couple motions in this particular case because, again, I wanted to go see Chris Cantwell's
You're probably
trial.
the first.
Yes,
at least here in New Hampshire.
I know that when we went to go and vote, when nobody, our co-host, myself, and my roommate, all three of us went to go and vote, it was this was the primary election, the state primary, so just 2 weeks ago. When we went to go vote, I asked them how many other people had shown up without a mask, and at the time we arrived, the answer was 6, and this was at 4:30 in the afternoon. So you're talking about, a fraction, a very, very small fraction of the total number of people who went to go vote who refused to wear a mask. Yeah. So very, very high levels of compliance.
Yes.
So ultimately, you weren't able to get in to see the trial.
No, and I did try multiple, as many ways as I possibly could through their system, right? So, and we could get into more about what happened to Cantwell, and I'm sure we will. And I know that Vincent is expected to call in tonight, he did put a mask on, he went in, he stayed throughout the entire day at the trial today. And it's, of course, going to be a full week-long or 2-week-long or whatever trial. So it's going to be going for a little while.
For this guy who said some mean things online.
How can they drag it out for 2 damn weeks?
It's the government, dude.
Here's one reason. The court is only meeting 2 days a week.
Oh, okay.
So
that
1
makes
week
sense.
for the court is Tuesday and Thursday.
God, what a time to be a nice, high-paid judge.
How are they getting anything done?
They're not. Cantwell's case is criminal case for the year of 2020, number 6.
Really?
Number 6 at the federal courthouse. There's more coming up. We'll share it with you. This is Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer US dollars for money laundering, study shows. Jim Rogers predicts end of US dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you're invited if you want to join us. Take control of the airwaves here. What happened in and around the Chris Cantwell federal trial for so-called interstate extortion and interstate threats, and I think they ended up adding cyberbullying or something. There's a third charge, which I don't recall.
I thought they were trying to hit him with like drugs or something.
No drug charges came.
Good. That's good.
I guess.
Well, I mean, it could be worse, right?
We're talking about Chris Cantwell, who is former co-host here on Free Talk Live, and
who is now a political prisoner.
He is sadly a political prisoner. He is also an a-hole, so it makes it hard to to like the guy. I find him likable on some level, and then quite distasteful on most levels.
I find him completely repugnant as a human being, but he is a human being, and he deserves to be free.
And he certainly doesn't deserve to be behind bars for what they're alleging that he did, which is threaten and try to extort somebody over Telegram who was probably as bad, if not worse, of a Nazi white separatist scumbag as Chris Cantwell. So
what is this legal nonsense that
two
I was
Nazis.
handed?
I don't know. Conan was just handing it to you. It's just a judge's order from federal court about all their requirements, how they're doing everything differently, how they're cutting back to 2 days a week.
Yes, the CDC recommends all of these things, and so I mandate that you will do what the CDC recommends.
Fear. Video conferences. We're just now starting to have actual trials, but only one trial for this entire cavernous courthouse, this humongous. Have you ever been in the federal court in Concord? It is a massive structure for New Hampshire, right?
So the question is,
trial.
What has happened to all of the other cases? Are they on the back burner?
They're just on the back burner.
Or have they been released?
No.
What about a person's constitutional right to a speedy trial?
Well, generally you have to request that.
You have to request a speedy trial.
Yeah. So if it turns out, I learned
Who the
this
hell
years
wouldn't
ago.
request that?
Well, I learned years ago. I just figured we all grew up in the government school system or whatever. We've seen it.
You wait in line.
You've seen it on the movies. You've seen the thing about the speedy trial, right? It's in the Constitution. You figured you'd get one, right?
He was arrested in January?
Yes, that's right.
So he's been in jail almost a year and has not gotten a trial. His trial just started.
Just started. Yeah, that's right. So what I learned years ago, at least in the state court system here in New Hampshire, after having waited for however God knows how long for whatever trial, and I'm like, well, what happened to the speedy trial? And I put in a motion, about that, and the court's response was, well, we'll get you a speedy trial, but you have to say you want one first. I mean, otherwise,
I thought I would just languish here in jail while you took your freaking time.
That's honestly what their position is if you don't request a speedy trial, then
and so
you obviously don't want it.
So Cantwell never brought this up? He wants to languish in jail?
No, he wanted to get out. He attempted to get out on bail twice, and
they denied it both times.
And they painted him as though he is some sort of a menace to society. He's violent and dangerous, and yeah, he did use violence in a fight when they were fighting with the Antifa people, but who knows who really started that? I mean, both sides are pointing fingers at each other.
I've been to this dude's house. If he was going to be violent towards someone, it would be me.
Yeah,
and he's not a violent person.
I've never seen him.
He's a hateful
aggressor.
person.
Yeah, I've never seen him be an aggressor.
Yeah,
he can defend himself.
Sure.
But anyway, let's go to Ronaldo. He's in Arizona. I got a lot more to say about my adventure into Fear World today. Ronaldo, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello. So I called here about a month ago.
Okay.
Because I was kicked out of CVS. I'm here to some update.
Oh, you were kicked out of the CVS. Okay, for not wearing a mask, I presume.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the update?
I just kept calling on their the CVS hotline, and they eventually just say this is a Target. No, it's not CVS. And I kept calling.
Why were you calling them over and over again? What did you think that was going to do?
Because I had to tell them about the Doug Ducey mandate.
The what?
The Doug Ducey mandate.
Who's that?
Says that you have a religious and health exemption.
Who's that? The governor? Is that the governor there in Arizona?
Yeah, it's the governor. He's a Republican.
And you wanted to tell them about what mandate exactly?
It's a health mandate. A health mandate. He forced on us, I guess.
What were you going to inform CVS about that mandate?
Huh?
You were going to inform CVS that it had a health and religious exemption, correct?
No, they had that, those whole signs on the doors and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, dude, your copy of that health mandate, there is a religious and health exemption for it. And I just kept calling.
Now, were you calling I just want to clarify, were you calling the store in question directly, or were you calling the corporate offices of CVS?
Yeah, I was calling the store until they just stopped answering me.
Yeah, well, that's basically, that's essentially harassment. I mean, that's not a very kind thing to do, to call somebody incessantly over and over again, even if, you don't like the way they're doing their business. Generally, if somebody is doing their business in a way you don't like, it's totally appropriate to tell your friends and, publish it on social media or your blog or whatever about the bad experience you had. And there's certainly nothing wrong with, I would say, calling the business to express yourself to them. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But if you've called once and the business says, oh, we don't want to listen to you anymore, and hangs up the phone, or if you just get hung up on, I would say if you just get hung up on, could have been an accident, right? I think you could call back one time, be like, hey, I got disconnected. And if then they're like, hey, leave us alone, then you really ought to leave them alone.
I would agree. Hanging up on someone is not a good way to end the conversation, because there are so many cell phones, so many dead zones and things like that.
Yeah, and especially considering that the little old lady that told you to put your mask on at the front door, she didn't create this ordinance, these policies. It's the guy above her, and who you'll probably never get a chance to actually talk to, because it's some guy behind a desk, one of the shareholders, one of the board members,
or more likely an attorney. That works for CVS.
Who advises the board They don't know. The little old lady doesn't know what's going on. In fact, as soon as you probably left the building, she probably pulled her mask down. I see this time and time again. There's a couple of stores that I deliver to, and I'll walk in there, and I'm usually jogging, so I usually catch people in the act.
Mm-hmm.
And I've caught employees all huddled around having a conversation, all of them without their masks on, and as soon as they see me, mask goes up.
Even though you don't have a mask on.
Even though I don't have a mask. And that's actually a really good point, because I never wear a mask. But I do respect the numbskull policies of these places, and so I just don't do a whole lot of shopping these days. I do a lot of curbside crap.
Well, the employees will pull off the mask to talk to each other because, I mean, let's be honest, if they work 8 hours a day together 5 days a week, then if one of them gets COVID, they're all going to get it, mask or not.
Not to mention, it's kind of nice to breathe every now and then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Could you imagine wearing a mask nonstop for 9 straight hours, 10 hours, 12 hours?
It is awful.
I do it
for 20
multiple
minutes.
times a week.
Yeah.
It sucks.
But you actually take breaks in between, right? You'll have and you and you smoke too.
Yeah,
so Aria wears her mask.
So it's not continuous.
And then she goes to have her cigarette break, and that's when she takes the mask off.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, thank you for calling and sharing your experience. I get it, man. People are frustrated. A lot of people are frustrated by this mask madness.
Are they?
Don't harass somebody over it. That's not going to help. It's not going to make things better.
There's nothing you can do to attack CVS on something like this.
No, it's a corporate monster.
Yeah.
855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Although I do support not wearing masks and going ahead and making them kick you out to some extent. We can talk about that coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org. Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. We're talking about a few different things sort of in the mix all at the same time. Chris Cantwell went on trial today for day number 1 after being in jail for 9 months, roughly, as he awaited this trial after he was arrested earlier this year on so-called interstate extortion, interstate threats, and I think a cyberbullying charge. Anyway, he was in a telegram.
Is cyberbullying really a charge? I mean, is that a criminal offense?
I don't remember what the third one was. It was something like or tantamount to cyberbullying. But ultimately, that's what all these charges are. The threatening is over interstate, so it's using an internet chat, in this case Telegram, to have a nasty gram with some other Nazi scumbag that he was just fighting with.
It's curious that the FBI would intervene here when it's like two despicable Nazis hating at each other. It's like, what? Just
let them
sit
fight.
back and let this play out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an interesting article written by a woman who's been following the Cantwell case very closely because he ended up targeting her she's an independent journalist. I think it's Hillary Sargent, if I recall correctly, who wrote a really...
That sounds like a Nazi would do.
She wrote a really extensive piece about him on, I think, more than one occasion. And I forget where I was going to go with that. Anyway, there's a lot that's happened today. One thing, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, and I do want to tell you about Bitcoin.com. That is where you can go to learn about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and cryptocurrency, and it is not too late to get started into this. Yeah, it was a decade ago or 11 years ago that this thing got off the ground, but it's still barely off the ground, in my opinion, and we may be looking back 10 years from now and saying, hey, remember when Bitcoin was only $10,000 a piece? That's a possible future. Now, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but you really ought to take the time to learn the basics over at Bitcoin.com. It's Ian, Conan, and Aria in the studio here tonight. So,
I prefer us looking back in 10 years going, remember when we used to use the USD?
The dollar.
Yeah. Remember that? Remember when we measured the value of Bitcoin in dollars?
If we can get there in 10 years, I'll be amazed.
Well, we might have some time to get to the story concerning the new legislation in the Senate currently dealing with the Banking for All Act.
Which is about the digital dollar.
Which is about the digital dollar and the digital wallet.
Well, remind me
I
about
will end up snapping if we talk about banks tonight.
And I think
do not get me started on banks.
This is real. This is coming down the pipe. And
there's other governments looking at similar things.
As far as the cryptocurrencies currently being used, I think there is no better way to get them up there, Bitcoin included, than to introduce this new digital wallet and get the people on board, and because they really don't know how to use.
Do you think this will be good for Bitcoin?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about it later. I definitely want to get into what happened today with the Chris Cantwell hearing that I never got into. Because
you never got into the damn building.
Well, I got into the lobby, but not past security. So here's what happened. Okay, so I come up to the front door. I meet Vincent, who's there as well. He's able to drive now, so he's driven himself there, and it's his first time in Concord. It's his first time at a court. So his first time at a court.
Wait, what?
He's at federal court. Yeah, he says he's never been to court with us at like any of the activist trials or anything. And I think he's right. He's never been. He'd remember it if he had.
Yeah.
So yeah, so his first time at a courthouse is the worst possible courthouse you can possibly visit in New Hampshire, the federal court. And I say that because you have absolutely no rights at federal court. You get that Constitution with the Bill of Rights in front of you. Go ahead and just tear that up because you don't have a right to be the media because you can't bring in a camera and you can't bring in an audio recording device.
You can't take in a camera?
No.
But you're literally with the media.
That doesn't matter. Not only that, you can't even bring in your phone into this court.
You can't take in your phone.
Now, some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, well, of course you can't take your phone into court, because in some places like Massachusetts, they don't let you take your phone into the state courts. But in New Hampshire, you can...
How the hell do they justify that?
Well, like courts are like the judge's little fiefdom, and they can basically come up with whatever rules that they want to for it. But for whatever reason, New Hampshire state courts, you can bring a phone in there, no problem. You can bring a laptop in there, no problem. You can.
They kind of expect to be recorded here in Keene.
In Keene, they certainly expect that, and I've recorded in plenty of other places in New Hampshire with no issues, really.
We had some issues in Manchester, but they were really minor.
Yeah, so you can bring electronic devices into the court as long as you're not making noise.
Can you open carry?
No, definitely not.
That's stupid.
No, they will stop you at the security checkpoint if you
But
try
you're
to
going
carry.
to deal with the government. That's like the one place where you would actually probably need to open carry.
Oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist.
I'm a realist.
They will stop you from opening carrying. Well, to their credit, though, they won't arrest you for it. Like in some states, if you try to walk into a courtroom or any kind of court facility, if you just walk in the door with a weapon, as I understand it, in some states,
shot.
You're at a serious risk of bodily injury or arrest. Here, you can actually walk up to the court guards or whatever, the security agents, and you can hand them a gun and say, "Can I check this with you, please?" And they will give you a number.
It's like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, and they will lock your gun up.
New Hampshire is wonderous, man.
They got a chalkboard behind them. You write your name on there and how many firearms you just checked in.
Well, one of the most effed up things about the federal court is, like I said, they won't let you bring a cell phone in there. You can bring the cell phone to the security checkpoint. Now, don't walk into federal court with a weapon. Don't do that one. But if you accidentally, forget if you keep your cell phone on you, forgot to leave it in your car, they will allow you to leave the cell phone, but then you are, one, leaving your cell phone with federal agents while you're spending hours in the court. Probably not a good plan. And two, the way they handle it is they just kind of leave all the cell phones on the security counter, and then when you walk back up to them, you can be like, "That's my phone," and then just take whichever phone you want to out of the whole, 10 phones or 5 phones or whatever are there, and they don't know if it's your phone or not. They didn't give you a number assigned to it or anything like that. You're just, oh yeah, there's my brand new iPhone or whatever it is that's there. If somebody wanted to steal a phone, it would be
advice for me:
easy.
Leave your phone in your glove compartment.
Yeah, definitely leave the phone in the car. In fact,
Do
have
they have
to leave
sensors
everything.
for this? I mean, couldn't you just put it on silent?
Oh yeah, they've got a metal detector. You're going to be taking your shoes, your jacket, your belt. It's more invasive, I would say, of a search than even the TSA at this point.
Well, but do you have to take your mask off?
No. In fact,
so you could hide something in your mask.
You could totally hide drugs in your mask, and they would have no idea. Dude, all those people walking in. Garrett Ian actually walked in, for a blogger over at freekeen.com. He lives in Concord. He had one of those.
He's a total masky.
He had one of the. I don't know. Is he really?
Yes.
Oh, that's too bad. He had one of those masks on that wasn't like the medical one. It was like the more kind of Bane style mask, the Batman bad guy
with the rebreather on the side of it.
Yeah. So he totally could have had like a bunch of ecstasy pills in there if he wanted to. And they would have no idea. But for the most part, it's a fairly...
My plate carrier mask could hold a whole lot of ecstasy. Just saying.
And probably a knife.
I mean,
well, they have a metal detector.
Okay,
there's no reason to smuggle drugs into the courthouse
just to see if you could do it.
I would not risk it though, because I mean that's stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
There are a lot of cops there.
You haven't heard?
Excuse me, candy seems to be falling out of your mask here.
I recall a situation right here in Cheshire County, maybe a couple years ago. Some dude tried to smuggle drugs into the courthouse so he can pass it to one of his buddies.
Unbelievable.
And he got caught.
Of course he did. That's stupid.
No, that's just one guy get caught. It makes me think it happens all the time.
There was a guy that did that in the jail out here 2 years ago. He got caught for smuggling drugs into the jail.
Well, I can see that.
Drugs get into the jail and prison system somehow, often by corrupt guards. But
usually it's where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
I think it's those pesky drones. People passing their drones over the top of the jail. Didn't they try to create some legislation a couple years ago?
I don't
about
remember if it was New Hampshire or if
being
it's federal,
illegal to fly drones over the jail.
Yeah, I don't think it's legal to fly drones anywhere in any kind
anywhere
of jail
near the government
airspace.
goons.
Yeah. So I walk up to this federal facility, which I actually started calling the church.
Sure.
When I was posting today, I said I'm at the Federal Church building in Concord.
It's not just the church; it's the Grand Cathedral.
Dude, it looks like a really creepy church.
Of course, it is a church.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But like even more so than your typical courthouse. When I was sitting in there, because I had to sit there and wait as the judge was going to look at this motion that I'll get into, but I'm looking up at this entrance, this really ornate entranceway, and just thinking it just didn't have stained glass. The glass was clear, but otherwise
the Masons built it.
I bet you're right about that too.
Yep.
So 855 450 free, a journey, an odyssey into Fear World in one of the worst courts you'll ever go into, federal court, coming up.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
Attention radio listeners, if you're concerned about the coming chaos after the November elections, this will be an extremely important message. Here's why. No matter what the outcome in November, catastrophic social upheaval is a very real possibility. Here's why this is important. Listen, we all know that silver and gold have been historic hedges against the uncertain waves of social chaos and unstable currencies. But did you know that there's been times in the past during times of extreme hardship, when Americans put another store of value above even silver and gold? It's true, open pollinated seeds have been and could very well be the ultimate store of value in the coming hard times ahead. Go to survivalseedbank.com to get heirloom seeds below wholesale. Visit survivalseedbank.com this week and get hundreds of dollars in free bonuses. Beat the coming chaos, beat rising food prices, but above all, don't wait. Beat the crowds by claiming your own Survival Seed Bank today.
With a MECTEC carbine conversion unit, you can turn an XD family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MECTEC is excited to announce our pistol carbine conversion unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MECTEC is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want here. We are talking about generally what was surrounding the craziness that was surrounding the Chris Cantwell trial today. And I don't even know what happened in the trial. I couldn't get in. Thought you had a right to free speech, free press, all that stuff? Nope, not in the federal courts now. That's off limits. Unless you have the hall pass.
What?
The mask. The face mask.
I thought
that will get that's the hall pass.
I thought it was some Harry Potter stuff or something where you get a special frog or something.
It's your little indicator that you're part of the new first class citizen or whatever, even though there's no such thing as a citizen. First class person, let's call it that. And now the second class people are those of us who won't wear the mask. And we are being treated as such. We are being denied access to various different corporate stores, and it's going to possibly get worse with this new ordinance coming to Nashua, so we definitely got to talk about that because it's going to get crazy. They're already doing $1,000 fines from what I understand in Nashua, and it's going to get worse. But anyway, so I tried to go into this federal courthouse where Chris Cantwell was on his first day of trial today. I wanted to observe the court. I'm a member of the media. I'm also arguably Chris Cantwell's minister. I mean, I don't think he... I don't know if
Here you are calling the courthouse the church, and you are an outside minister from another church, coming in to spy on this particular incident. By the way, did you post that anywhere that the folks could see the actual
photo?
The front of the courthouse?
Yeah,
we were just trying to describe what it looked like, and it does look like a church.
It's on my personal social media profile, so I don't know the easiest way you can find that, but just look for FTL Ian on Mastodon or liberdon.com. And maybe I can put it on the Free Talk Live profile, but yeah, it's a creepy looking building.
Well, it's if it looks like a church, if a church could be also a fortress, because that's what.
It's heavy.
And the term of architecture that came to mind is the brutalist style, which, by the way, Chris Cantwell claimed to be a brutalist libertarian. How do you like that? Yeah, he's housed.
Well, this was when he was a libertarian. He no longer is a libertarian.
No, he's just a brutalist now.
Straight up fascist.
If any brutalists out there who still use the term, could tell me exactly what that means. I know what it means in architecture, but if you know what it means as a libertarian or as an alt-right or whatever,
I haven't heard the term used in years. I mean, I presume there's still some.
He was probably one of the only
ones. Yeah. I mean, it's essentially the idea that the libertarianism is the non-aggression principle, wherein you don't use aggression against people, but if somebody uses aggression against you, you have the right to respond. Most would say in kind, meaning that you would meet...
I would say proportionally.
Yeah, proportionally. That you would meet the aggression with the necessary response, the necessary level of violence to stop the aggression. Not to necessarily kill the person who's aggressing against you, although that certainly is an option in certain circumstances. But the brutalist would say that whenever there's aggression being used, that the victim has the right to go to the max with the response. Meaning if somebody pokes you, you could pull your gun out and blast him. Or if the classic little girl tramps through your daisies, you could pull out your gun and blast him, or lob a grenade at her.
It sounds like he was unhinged even when he was a libertarian.
He was controversial for sure.
All right, well, the reason I bring all this up is because I don't really think that's what it means. I think he might have gone somewhere else with that.
Okay,
I don't know what else brutalist could mean.
That's the way it was described.
Well, as in architecture,
we're not talking about architecture.
Well,
we're talking about Christopher
they
Cantwell.
got it from somewhere, and I'm pretty sure
the word brutal.
The word brutal has a very long history.
You've heard of the word brutal.
Yeah, but I've only heard brutalist in one instance.
I'm telling
and
you,
it is
that's
architecture.
the way it was described.
All right, and this is the architecture side. All right, minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
Also bulky and showcasing the strength and the materials that made that setup. But it's not supposed to be flashy. It's not supposed to be lots of gadgets. It's just straight up. You're a tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking he probably embraced that part of it.
I think you're giving him too much credit.
but as
this is
but
Christopher Cantwell, the crying
this out like you did, man.
but non-aggression. I mean, I'm sorry. You don't pull your gun out and shoot a kid that's stepped on one of your flowers.
This is what caused hours of arguments over at the Keene Activist Center. But remember Allie Havens?
I remember all. Yes, I remember all of this. He was excommunicated or something.
She and he went hardcore against one another and argued loudly over this for a long time, and it caused a large amount of strife. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, Christopher Cantwell is locked in the building that he created.
He is there, and he's facing multiple felony counts of interstate threats and interstate extortion. And we're going to hear from, I think, Vincent at some point tonight here once he gets
actually
done.
Put on.
He was there. He put the mask on.
He put the magic hall pass on his face and smuggled some drugs in. We'll ask him about that too.
So I come up to this place, and there's a guy out front who I recognized from the last time that I was there, because I went to Cantwell's bail hearing. Right. Months and months ago, before all the crazy stuff really started to happen. And he even says it was before the whole COVID thing, so it must have been
It would have
March.
had to have been, because the ones that we discussed they turned out to be virtual only.
Yeah, so it must have been longer ago than I thought it was. But anyway, I met this security agent who works at the courthouse there, who claims to be the head of security. His name's Joe. Nice guy, right? Like, a lot of these guys are good at playing the nice guy. And he and I were chatting outside of the courtroom the last time I was there. And I asked him mostly about himself, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about myself, but I was asking him questions about, who he was and where he was from. And he's from New Hampshire originally, and he likes guns, and, we learned a bit about him. So I recognized him, even though he's got the mask on, right? And I'm like, oh, hey, Joe. And he looks at me and he's like, do I know you? And I said, well, I remember you. Now, he deals with people all day.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
He's not going to remember me. And it's just like, yeah, you were decent. You were decent to me, so I remember you, right? And so he lets me get in, at least into the lobby area, and then ultimately, after I've waited in line, which is a socially distanced line, of course, after I've waited in line, he then says, oh, do you have a mask? So I didn't even get a chance to even start going. I'd taken my belt off, getting ready to go through security. I'm like, nope, I'm not. I don't wear a mask. I've got a medical condition. And in the actual order from the judges in the courthouse, there's a lengthy paragraph, paragraph 11, which addresses masks and social distancing in the Rudman Courthouse. All persons in public areas, elevators, bathrooms, and courtrooms for an in-court hearing, jury trial, or grand jury session shall at all times wear a face covering or mask that covers their noses and mouth.
What if you only have one nose?
Yeah, I was going to say. It's a little weird, that writing. The court will provide a face covering / mask for those seeking entry who do not have their own covering. For in-court hearings and jury trials, the presiding judge may permit the removal of a face covering or mask for the purpose of facilitating a hearing or otherwise promoting the functioning and effective operation of a court proceeding. And from what I understand, they're going to be giving the witnesses clear masks in the trial. So that way you can see their facial expressions.
So they understand the value of being able to see a person's face when you're interacting with them.
Yeah.
How does a clear mask work?
It's plastic.
Clear plastic.
And how do you breathe?
Probably some holes or something. I don't know.
So isn't that where the spit comes out? The little holes?
Yeah, I guess.
Isn't it the whole reason to wear a mask is to keep the spit off? Because the mask.
Maybe they'll give them the face mask. Maybe it'll be the face shield.
Yeah,
it'll probably be the face shield.
All right, that makes sense.
The security agents had those on. The security agents at the front had the mask on and the shield on in front of their face.
Oh God!
Dude, this is almost getting to the point of. Have you guys seen 28 Days Later?
Were they wearing goggles?
I think I saw it a decade and a half ago.
It is one of the scariest zombie movies out there, and the reason is because they introduced sprinter zombies.
Yeah, the fast zombies. Yeah, that's
oh
right.
God, that's scary.
Yep.
Anyways. Just drops of this stuff in your eye will
and you're a
zombie just like that. And I'm thinking this is where we've gotten.
That's what people think is going to happen.
The people think someone's going to look at them wrong and they're going to get this.
Oh yeah, I had one lady. I was outside of the court waiting for some paperwork at one point in the afternoon, and I'm standing out like by the entrance, sort of down by the sidewalk like right when the stairs start to go
And
up.
she walked around and gave you wide berth.
Yeah, she literally is walking towards me on what was a fairly wide sidewalk. Not quite a 6-foot sidewalk, but a wide, maybe 4 to 5 foot wide. And she steps off of the sidewalk into the road and just make sure she can stay as far away from me as she possibly can.
You're a leper, man.
Yeah.
We live in a leper. You were looking for names of what to call this place.
Lepers.
We are the lepers.
Leperland. Yeah, that's
Except
how we're
we're
being
not
treated.
sick.
I
They
consider
treat you like you are, though, right?
Yes, because they're crazy.
Yes, and paranoid. So here's the rest of the statement here. So grand jury procedures. So again, for grand jury, the U.S. attorney can petition or shall petition the court to obtain permission for any individual to deviate from the requirement to wear a face covering / mask if any person entering the Rubman courthouse has a, quote, medical condition, unquote, that makes it unsafe to wear a face covering / mask. The presiding judge may make an exception to the face covering requirement. So based on that statement, I went ahead and put in a motion. To the court because they weren't going to let me in, and I knew that it just said may, right? So it's totally to the judge's discretion to allow or disallow somebody in, or to allow somebody in without a mask. And
Did they make Chris Cantwell wear a mask?
Exactly.
Yes.
What happens if you are on trial and you refuse to wear a mask?
A great question.
I
hope I don't have to find that out.
Will you find yourself looking like Hannibal Lecter strapped to a board with one of those
They
things?
force you to wear one. Yeah, they probably would. 855-450-FREE.
Force you to wear chains.
855-450-3733. That's true, although they usually will unhook your hands during the trial in a lot of cases. More coming up here in moments. Hour 2's next. It's Free Talk Live. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Hoping for a quick ruling. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. As the census winds down, the administration asking the highest court in the land to make a ruling that could impact the official count.
The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to expedite its effort to exclude people in the U.S. illegally from the numbers used to determine how many congressional seats each state gets. In early September, a panel of 3 federal judges in New York said President Trump's order was unlawful. In court papers filed with the High Court, the administration suggested the court hear arguments in the case in December, potentially with the new justice appointed by the president in place. January 10th of next year is the deadline under federal law to transmit census numbers that will determine each state's allotment of seats in the House of Representatives for the next 10 years. In Washington, John Decker, Fox News.
Senate Republicans appear to have the votes to confirm President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court to replace the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell blasted Democrats for their criticism of taking action before the election.
For some reason, they cannot bear to see Republicans governing within the rules as Republicans, doing exactly what Americans elected us to do.
Democrats are calling for the nomination to wait until after the election. President Trump said a short time ago he will announce his pick at 5 p.m. Saturday. Vanessa Bryant, widow of Basketball Hall of Famer Kobe Bryant, has filed a lawsuit against the Los Angeles County Sheriff, claiming deputies shared photos of the helicopter crash that killed her husband, 13-year-old daughter, and 7 others in January. Sheriff Alex Villanueva previously told news media that 8 deputies took or shared graphic photos of the scene, and he ordered the images to be deleted. America is listening to Fox News.
For over 20 years, millions of customers have trusted Blinds.com to update their homes. Because Blinds.com makes it easy to get custom blinds that'll give your windows a high-end look without the high-end price. Whether you like to do it yourself, need help with design, or prefer measure and install services, they keep it simple with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. New window treatments are a simple way to really benefit the look and feel of your home. And Blinds.com will guide you every step of the way with free online design help. And if you're nervous about trying them, don't be. Blinds.com has over 30,000 5-star customer reviews, and they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows, whether you do it yourself or have them measure and install everything for you. Go to Blinds.com now to take advantage of this week's special savings on interior blinds, shades, shutters, and even outdoor shades. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Restoring some COVID-19 restrictions.
COVID-19 is back with a vengeance in the UK. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson appearing today in Parliament, tonight on TV, announcing some pretty stiff measures. Pubs, bars, and restaurants closing earlier after encouraging folks to go back to work, now calling on people to stay home if they can. All this backed up with stiffer fines, beefed up policing, even the army playing a possible role. Johnson is telling folks who are chafing at COVID-19 restrictions this is not a full lockdown, but he's also saying these measures could stay in place for 6 months, well into next year, either when there is a vaccine for COVID ready or it's subsided, whichever comes first. In London, Greg Malcott, Fox News.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers extending that state's mask mandate until late November, citing a rise in cases there. With Halloween just weeks away, a new survey takes a look at how people plan to celebrate.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention discouraging door-to-door trick-or-treating amid the pandemic.
When you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This is William Chambers. Now a retired insurance salesman, Chambers is just one of over 95% of grandfathers who, according to a new report from the Center of Business Intelligence, secured their first and only job by walking right up to the owner of a business and asking for a position right then and there.
I slammed my fist on the desk and said, "I'm your man." He stood right up. He shook my hand and he said, "You come in first thing Monday morning."
According to the report, nearly 36% of grandfathers claim that they found employment by entering a local business with nothing but a nickel in their pockets and a shirt on their backs. 24% saw a fine-looking marquee for a business and said, "Someday my name's going to be on that sign." And 40% of grandfathers said they snuck into the CEO's office and said, "Mr. McKinley, sir, I'm your guy."
It just took gumption. You didn't need some fancy internship. Looking the boss dead in the eye and showing him you were a man. That was your internship.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, kicking off the second hour of the program. Coming up, we'll be talking with Conan about what's next for the dollar, and it's, of course, not looking good. The digital dollar.
It might be really good for Bitcoin.
All right, well, that'll be an interesting discussion because I'm curious to see how you're going to make that argument. But we've been talking about my experience today going to the Chris Cantwell, or attempting to go to the Chris Cantwell trial at federal court, but without wearing a mask, because there's an order in place by the federal court judges saying that everyone has to wear a mask unless you put in a motion to have the judge waive that rule for you. You got to wear a mask. That's it. So I've got a medical objection, or whatever the terminology, medical condition. I've got a medical condition.
And I noticed he didn't allow any religious exemptions in that
They don't allow any exemptions. I mean, in the paragraph, it specifically says medical condition.
As long as the judge approves.
Correct. And the judge may approve of that.
Right.
He may not. And I didn't expect him to approve.
Of course not.
But I wanted to get it on the record. I wanted to, I want to know for sure. Okay?
Sure.
Look, I don't want to see this trial so bad that I'm going to go ahead and violate my principles to put this on. My religious principles.
I don't want to see the trial, but I want Cantwell to know that, I don't think he should be in jail.
Yeah.
So I still want to show up to it for that reason.
Well, Cantwell knew I was there because according to Vincent, who was in the trial, they actually talked about my motion in open court.
Good stuff.
For apparently, he said it was a half an hour. I suspect that he's misjudging time because it's easy to lose track of time. You don't have a phone in there, right?
I mean, especially when you're bored.
Yeah.
And he was bound to be bored.
I'd like to think it didn't last for a half an hour, but maybe it did.
Maybe the judge never even considered that someone would take him up on his offer. And so he had to sit. Maybe he had to think about it. Yeah. How am I going to? All right. So to create a precedent for the next knucklehead who decides to do the same thing. So he's got to stamp it down. He's got to make an example of you.
Yeah. So
they offered you your own little room or something?
Yeah. Okay. So I put the motion in, right? Because you have to ask the judge's permission.
Yeah.
You can't just barge through security, unfortunately.
You can, but it's not recommended.
So I cite his order in my motion. They came out. The clerk of court comes out and introduces himself and says, "Here's a motion form. You can fill this out." He takes it back. I got a stamped copy of it, right? Like if you ever file something at a court, I'm not a lawyer, but so this isn't legal advice. But what I always do is I always get a stamped copy of the thing that I'm filing, so that way they've stamped that it's received, and I get a copy that shows.
And they're usually pretty good about that because
they usually will do that.
They got the knuckleheads like you coming in all the time, giving a hard time.
Well, otherwise they'll be like, "What are you talking about? We lost that in the mail," or whatever, right?
Sure.
Like you can't prove we got it.
And now, question: Were these guys they all handling you with kid gloves, or were they just right up next to you, handing you paperwork and stuff like that?
Well,
or were they keeping their distance?
They all the security agents except for the main guy had both the shield and the mask on,
and
so they were doubled up. Oh, and the gloves, yeah. But
not goggles, so it was all for nothing.
What about this clerk?
They obviously hate old people.
Clearly,
actually, most of them were elderly. But the clerk,
they hate themselves then.
The clerk was probably in his early 50s. He comes out just with a face mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he was relatively close, I would say. He wasn't keeping any specific distance.
Right.
So I said, "I request a waiver of the mask requirement. I have a medical condition, and in addition, I'm a minister, and such headwear as a mask or face shield is against my religion. I'm on the defendant's guest list," which was true. Cantwell actually put my name on a special list.
All these things are true.
Yeah, of course they're all true. Further, court proceedings are open to the public. If I'm denied entry as a member of the media, I would like access to an online feed of the proceedings. Okay, fine. If you don't want to let me in, fine. Give me a WebEx, because that's what the courts are using. They're using WebEx apparently, at least at the state level. I don't know what they're using. Maybe it's Zoom with the the federal courts. But if you're not going to let me in, if this is a public trial, give me a feed that I can watch somewhere.
Right.
And I said I'm a blogger at freekeen.com and a nationally syndicated talk show host on Free Talk Live. So, I'm showing my credentials. I'm flashing myself as the media. I've got a medical condition, and I'm a minister, and it's against my religion. Okay? So all these relatively basic constitutional kind of level First Amendment level objections. Denied. The court clerk calls me back, says the judge denied you. He did not explain why in a written ruling, but he did explain himself in the court, in open court. So whatever his rationale was supposedly explained in open court. And she says, you can get a transcript. I'm like, well, you got to pay for that, right? And she says,
course.
Yeah, well, yeah. And it's like, well, that's okay, thanks. Because, Vincent was in there, so I can get a
and hopefully
summary
Vincent will be able to tell us what the judge proclaimed for his decision.
So what Vincent told me was that the defense was fine because the judge brings up the request in court. He says the defense was fine with me coming in. The prosecution said that it was a danger. They are objecting. And so because the prosecution objected, danger, the prosecution said...
The prosecution is the state.
Yes. Correct. So the state says danger, and they say, okay, well, he can come in, but he can't come into the court because they already had like a secondary room because they were socially distancing everyone in the courtroom. Okay. So Vincent said that there was only like basically 4 or 6 people that were even in the watching benches, the pews in the court, which normally could have held more people than that, but because they had to keep them away from one another, and they like spread out all the jurors, and they brought in the jury in in different groups of 3. That only 3 would come in at a time. They would get their seats. 3 more would come in. They'd get their. So there's all this rigmarole going around with the social distancing in the courtroom.
Making it take so much longer.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ! Right to a speedy trial, indeed.
Yeah, it's a load. So
got to take 45 minutes to get the jury out.
Just to bring the jury in. Now, so again, they object, and they say, okay, we'll set up a room for you. You can have your own. So there was the main courtroom. That's where Vincent was. Then there was like courtroom B, where they had a feed for the rest of the people who wanted to watch the trial, who were all in masks.
So they did have a feed of it.
They did have a feed of it. And they were going to put me in my own little room, my own third room, where I could have my mask off, but they still wanted me to wear the mask while I was walking around the building.
Oh.
Put on the mask. Just do it. Just do it.
Just like the restaurants.
Show you're obedient. We can't have... Now, they didn't say this. Right? They're not saying
right, but this is what they're conveying.
Is. The message is put the mask on, and then we'll let you be
We just
yourself.
Can't let anyone else see that you're disobeying.
Right. That's it. That was the key. You cannot be seen walking around this courthouse with no mask on, because then someone might ask why.
Some people get ideas.
That's right.
It's exactly what this is.
Which is all this is about. It's always been about signaling.
It's always been about compliance.
It's been about compliance and signaling. Like it's the virtue signaling for the people that are wearing them. Like, I'm doing a good thing for people and you're not. So there's that.
I'm saving you.
And then there's you don't want to be the odd man out. So some people who don't like the masks will put the masks on because they don't want to be harassed. They don't want to upset their neighbors. So there's just so much fear out there. They couldn't possibly have me walking around without a mask. So,
do they want to have a good deed competition? Because I'm just sitting here thinking, how much money do I have to give the Boston Children's Hospital to justify not wearing a mask? They say I'm not doing good things to help people. Okay, but I kind of provably am. So,
well, they want you to do what they want you to do.
Well, I don't want to do what they want me to do.
Not what you want to do. So this is all taking hours, right? Like I showed up at 8:30. I was there a half hour early. I knew it was going to take some time.
Yeah, you probably added a whole hour onto this day just with your little motion.
Well, it did.
It was an important motion, though.
I agree with you. Yes. I agree, and I did. And Cantwell knew that I was going to do it.
Of course he did. He knows you.
Yeah. Well, we talk. I mean, he calls every now and then, so we talked. And so, after a couple hours, it was probably just before the lunch break where they got this news back to me that your motion's denied. And they're like, well, you want to do this other thing? And I'm like, no. I said, look, I have objections to wearing the mask. That doesn't mean I'm going to wear it around your courthouse just for some sort of convenience sake.
Meanwhile, the rest of the world rolled their eyes and they're like, oh, look at this guy. Yeah. Look at this boat rocker.
Trouble-causing.
Troublemaker. What's going on? Just wear the mask. It's just a couple of seconds. And then you can go to your secret little room.
That's what they say on Twitter all the time, right? Yeah. So finally, later that afternoon, I then file a motion to reconsider of this mask decision.
Now, did you do that immediately, or did you wait between the two things?
I had to go and hit the bathroom in the meantime.
So basically immediately.
Oh, I mean, pretty much immediately. But it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon by the time this happened. And we'll talk about the bathroom break, too, because there's a story there. Because you can't just step outside of your car and pee in the street there in Concord, right?
Well, San Francisco you can.
Yeah, well, I'm not I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go find somewhere to go.
It's just conquered, Ian.
Did you have to wear a mask for that?
Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
I'm not going to wear a mask. There's only one time that I've had to one place where I've worn a mask, and it was because I couldn't do anything else. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer U.S. dollars for money laundering, study shows. Jim Rogers predicts end of U.S. dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite. DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
There are such things called a breatharian. And you know what? George Norrie doesn't eat, sleep, or drink either. Did you know that? Yes. You know what? He never gets tired of...
George Norrie, the host of Coast to Coast AM, you believe... Let me just make sure I heard you correctly. You don't believe that he drinks, that he eats, and that he sleeps? Is that what you said? I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
They're ascended masters. They don't have to be here. They come here to teach people and to enlighten people. And George Norrie and I think Art Bell might be one. Their blood content is gold. See, they don't have to be here.
Their blood content is gold? Is that what you just said?
Yes. That's right. You know what? Our content is iron. Their constitution is gold.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. You can also go to chat.lrn.fm and learn how to get into our new Matrix chat server, which then allows you to call in and hopefully it will sound better than you do on the phones. We've yet to actually to test this out on the air. I have used the thing. I know it works.
Is there a mobile version of this Matrix thing?
Yeah, so Matrix is the server, but what you connect to it is the software that the client software. So yes, there's Android,
okay, so
iOS.
it's similar to how it's actually
very
identical to how
Discord.
Mastodon works.
So as far as
you
usage,
download something like Tusky or something like that and use it to connect to the server.
Correct. And like Mastodon, there's a bunch of free software that you can use. There's different clients. Tusky's one of a dozen different clients. With the Matrix server, there's the main one's called Element. You can go to element.io to download a copy of that. But there's also 3 or 4 others. One's Linux only, one's Windows and Linux, etc. Right. So just go to chat.lrn.fm. It'll link you to everything that you need there to get started and give you step-by-step instructions on how to get connected. It is Ian, Conan, and Aria in the studio here tonight. We're talking about the fear world out there, this mask madness that just seems to be getting worse and worse. And my experience with it today, going to Concord, which is a city that has a mask ordinance, which we'll get into that coming up here in a moment, because my first stop was the federal court, but after I was denied access, I had a couple other stops to make. So we'll get into to what happened. But first, let's talk to Adam. He's in Kentucky, watching us on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, y'all. How's it going?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
So, I actually wanted to talk about some transgender issues.
Okay.
So I guess the point I want to start at is like athletics. Like, okay, actually let me start over. So since you're a transgender, or Aria is a transgender, do you care about pronouns, or do you just
people can call me what they want. I identify as a woman, but whether other people consider me a woman is according to their definitions and what they understand a woman to be. They're free to disagree with me on that.
Okay. All right, we're on the same page. Okay, so what do you think about transgenders participating in athletics?
Well, transgender is an adjective, not a noun. I would point that out first of all. It's like a homeless. Okay. What do you think about a homeless doing this, right? It's like it's important because it's dehumanization.
If a transgender is a tranny, is a homeless a homie?
Hey, homie.
Sorry,
bro.
Or a unhomie?
All right, can you stop dodging the question, though?
No, homie.
What, was there a question? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's not dodging the question to ask you to humanize trans people by adding the word people to it, instead of referring to them as adjectives.
Sure, they're people.
Okay, cool. So the question is about trans people in sports?
Yeah.
Do you just want to know my thoughts on it?
Yeah, I guess. Are you okay with them participating in sports?
I'm not competing against them. That would be up to the athletes who have agreed or disagreed to compete against them.
And I think it would also be up to the leagues as well. There's various different leagues out there, and they all have different rules about what is and what is not appropriate. I think the traditional question here that maybe Adam is looking for is, should these leagues allow someone who was born a man to compete with women? People born as women. I think that would be one of the more common questions. What do you think about that, Aria?
I think they should ask the athletes who are parts of that league. If the cis women in these leagues don't want to participate against trans women, they're the athletes who would be competing. They can either not compete, or they can form a league where they won't be asked to compete, or the league can make a decision in their favor.
So let the market decide.
Sure.
Basically. Adam, is that what you were looking for?
I guess.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted to hear your opinion on it, but okay.
Now you got it.
People should talk it out.
On to my next point.
Okay.
This is completely unrelated, but still, since you're you consider yourself on the right.
Who, me?
You're Republican, right?
I'm registered as a Republican, but I'm not a Republican. No, I'm far to the left of. Yes, I'm a libertarian. I'm far to the left of the Democrats.
Okay, so.
Wait. Rephrase. You're to the left of the Democrats, or you're to the right?
I'm far to the left. Have you met me, Conan? I'm way to the left of the Democrats. The Democrats are center right at best. They're war hawks, man.
I'm thinking progressives. Correct. You still got your left and right sides of even the Democrat Party, and
well, the left and right paradigm is so outdated anyway. Yeah. I mean, Democrats
are center right, though.
Yeah,
at best.
So there you go, Adam. Thanks for your call tonight, man. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So back to my court and mask adventures. So they denied my request as a member of the media, as somebody with a medical condition, as somebody with a religious objection. To me, this is like the equivalent of asking somebody to take a burqa off, right? Like if it's their belief that they have to wear a burqa, it's just sort of the reverse of that, right?
That's a good argument that should be brought up more often. That this is my burqa.
That's the argument he's been making for like 6 months.
But no one. I've never heard this equation. I've never heard this analogy.
There's a clear religious violation, at least for me, as somebody who I believe that the state is an evil religion. And all of the evidence is there to prove this. You've been making some strong points in some of your interviews that you've been doing about this recently, Aria. And so therefore, if the state is ordering me to do, to wear a certain thing, that's like the cross to Dracula, right?
But
like
what's next, Ian? Are you going to go to Walmart and start taking off your clothes because of the pants, shirt, shoes policy?
That's not a state ordinance. That's a business preference. That the business does not
Which
want
I also oppose, by the way. If people want to run around naked, I fully support their right to be able to do that.
Which we can kind of do in New Hampshire.
But it's also private property, so if the business doesn't want you in there naked, then you don't go in.
Which by the way,
I don't know if I agree that it's private property. I mean, it's supposed to be private property, but they sort of gave up the right, in my opinion, to claim private property when they started getting licenses and crap from the state.
Now, that gets into a deeper argument, and I think that's an interesting thing to talk about, but let's save that one.
But in this situation, we're talking about a public building that we paid for.
That's correct, yeah.
And you can't get into it unless you wear this stupid hall
unless
pass.
You're part of the second class or the first class. So I'm a second class person now because I won't.
You're a leper.
Put this government obedience indicator on my face.
So they brought you the denial, and you were like,
and
okay, well, I have to go
motion.
use the restroom.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. Yeah, I walked away with it or whatever. And they didn't bring it to me. They called. So so I got a call. And so then I'm like, well, I got another piece of paper here. I'll just write out another motion. I'll come bring it over to you. And we're skipping the bathroom break. We'll come back to that. So I write this motion up here. The clerk informed me of the court's offer of a viewing room, but I'd need to put on a mask in the hallways of the building. This response ignores my medical condition and religious objection, same things I originally brought up. As a member of the press, like anyone else, I have a right to observe court proceedings. I should not be required to endanger my health or violate my religious beliefs to observe the court. If the court will continue to disallow me entry without a mask, it should provide me with a feed over the internet so I can observe the trial and report on it as the supposedly free press. If this motion is denied, please provide a written denial stating why. And it was denied. And I don't know if I'm going to get a written denial. The judge apparently told the clerk to inform me that if I wanted an explanation, I could file for a, quote, writ of mandamus with the 1st District Court of Appeals.
What in the hell is that?
I've heard the term before, but I'll have to look it up for you. I don't know offhand what it actually means, and I don't know what it costs to file with the 1st District Court of Appeals, but I bet there's a few $100 involved. More coming up.
Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit anypayinc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. No entry for people who don't wear masks into federal court. Sorry, thought you had a right to go view that public trial. Well, turns out it's not a public trial after all. It's a private trial, and they're only going to let in their approved people. So, yeah, that's happening. And by the way, local courts are behaving in a similar restrictive manner. How do I know? I went to one of those today, too. I figured, you know what? I couldn't get into the federal court without a mask. I'll try my luck at the district court in Concord, which is just down the street. So that's where I went next. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And it's Aria.
And also, don't forget about Divi. It's a cryptocurrency. It's one of the newer ones, and it's easy to use, meaning that you can easily set up a masternode for Divi. And normally, setting up a masternode is a real process with a lot of these other coins. Divi makes it easy. You can go to diviproject.org. You can stake Divi. There's even a lottery for people that stake the coin. Divi even had a 10x jump earlier this year between mid-March and mid-July. So you never know what's going to happen in the future. And obviously the Divi programmers would love to see more growth like that. So if you want to learn more about it, go to diviproject.org, diviproject.org. And one of our listeners was confused recently about, well, how can you get Divi if there's no wallet? Because we've been talking about there's a beta wallet they're working on. There is a Divi wallet. It's just what they call a full node implementation for like a full-on computer, not like a mobile wallet. So they're working on what's supposed to be a pretty evolutionary kind of mobile wallet. But it's not out yet, and hopefully we'll see it sooner rather than later. Divi Project, diviproject.org. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts, Greg is on the line in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Greg.
Hey, guys. I happen to agree with Ian here. I mean, this is a public service, the courts. And if they want to protect people, they should put them in plastic bubbles or whatever. But
don't give them any ideas.
But they shouldn't restrict the citizen from access to public things, after all, right?
Well, I told him when I was on the phone with them, because again, they called me every time I put these motions in. The clerk of court would call me to let me know what the judge's ruling was on this. And, I said, hey, look, I got no problem staying away from people, right? Like, that's one of the orders in the court, is that everybody in the court has to stay 6 feet away from everybody else.
That's actually one good thing that's come from all of this.
Otherwise, it's a contempt of court charge. So
what?
Anytime you break a judge's order, it's a contempt of court charge.
Are they going to actually charge people with contempt of court for standing within 6 feet of each other?
They could.
But would they?
I don't know. Do you want to go and find out? You want to go explore the bowels of the federal court system? Because that's where they're going to take you when they arrest you. You're going to the basement.
They won't just issue you a fine?
Oh, you're going to get arrested.
And you're going to get one of them Hannibal Lecter masks. They're going to strap you down.
Yeah, you don't just get a fine if you get arrested for contempt of court.
I wouldn't expect to get arrested.
You're going to jail if you
Really?
get arrested for contempt of court. Yeah, you're going in. You violated a judge's order. They take that real serious. So anyway, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So, but I do want to ask, like, an analogy, like if you walked in naked or other things that, if you take libertarianism really far, who is to tell you that you must put on clothes? I mean, what you're not harming anybody.
Well,
you're
here,
a man after my own heart.
Here in New Hampshire, we
made this argument, so
we are only prohibited from lewd activities. So I guess you could walk into a court without a shirt on, unless someone thought nipples were lewd.
Yeah, they're not by definition genitalia, so they don't, as I understand it, they don't fit the qualification.
So I didn't see shirt, shoes on that list. So I guess you could try.
Okay, so here we're
walk in with a mask on but no shirt.
No, Conan, you're going to wear a loincloth, okay?
Yeah,
and we're going to
I am the barbarian.
We're going to go to this federal court, and we're going to not social distance. And the first one of us to get arrested wins the prize.
What's the prize?
There is no prize.
All right,
a contempt of court charge is the prize.
All right, I have loincloth on and mask, and I want you to carry me in.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, I'll be there to watch.
What if I was sheriff?
But you can't film it because you can't take the damn camera.
Yeah, you can't take.
It'll be the front doors at least.
We won't get into the building like that, dude.
I'm not.
Yeah, they do have a man outside.
I'm
now.
not going to Concord. It's too far away.
Oh well, this is a non-starter.
Oh, so he's just fantasizing. All right,
Are
go
you
ahead,
drive
Greg.
in your loincloth? So yeah, I should call in more often.
Yeah, sure.
I did want to say something about the previous caller or the other caller who asked about transgender people in sports. I just have an opinion that it is an issue in the same way that, let's say, doping is an issue. If someone who was, let's say, as a man transitioned to be a woman, but still has built up a muscular skeleton and everything that a woman would not normally have done. And what I want to say is maybe people should compete like they do in chess, meaning mixed gender, and just have, what is it called, like ratings, right? So somebody could be really good, but it would just be all genders. And if you're not going to have a clear demarcation between men and women, why have it in the actual sports league? Why not just have one league for everybody and let it be continuous?
Well, because then, I mean, statistically speaking, no women would ever win.
They don't have the upper body strength just by general birth. I mean, there's going to be some men that they're stronger than just because of, people are different.
Right.
But generally, men are stronger than women.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the fastest man alive is faster than the fastest woman alive.
Right.
And the best high jumper can jump higher than the fastest female high jumper.
And put 100 women in front of a pull-up bar and see how many of them can do one.
Yeah.
Right, but I guess my point.
Well, the same is true for 100
about
men.
Winning, but
maybe.
But like in a chess
absolutely.
tournament, I've gone to these tournaments, and there's men and women, and it's not about winning the top prize necessarily. It's about achieving a rating, and I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that.
See, I've actually competed, and not in like weightlifting or anything, but the point is to always win the first prize.
Yeah, that's what drives these athletes. This is what they do. Otherwise, why do it?
Yeah, but if it's going to be continuous, you can't just arbitrarily decide, who is a woman or who is a man, and you can enter or you can't enter.
Yeah,
but you can. It just depends on the league and depends on their rules.
Yeah,
right?
but how does your rating system work? You're going to be rated according to what?
Like ELO.
Whether you got jump.
Like if you beat a person, your rating goes up. If you lose, it goes down. And you can win like a first prize among women or a first prize among whatever. Sure.
But then again, you're back to defining what a woman is in that particular case.
That's true, but at least you would get a rating. So if you're a really strong
What benefit does that do?
You know what?
Oh, you have a rating now.
You know, this is beside all the point, because I question whether sports is even going to survive this nonsense.
Good luck, sports.
No one's watching this crap anymore.
That's not true. Some sports are up.
Which ones?
I forget.
Esports.
Hockey is up.
That's not real sports. Sorry, guys. I love video games, but that's
it's
that's
real,
not real
sports,
sport.
Ian. They sweat.
It's competition at the very least.
I can't compete with some of these young kids. I'm not. My brain's going.
You don't have the reaction.
I'm not fast enough anymore.
Roach is upstairs learning that lesson right now.
He's up there throwing things at the wall.
We're gonna
right
get
now.
an FCC violation here if you keep screaming the F word up there.
Is esports a thing? Callers, call in. Tell
it's
Ian.
A thing.
Well, no. Is it a sport?
Is
it a sport?
Yeah. What do you think, Greg? Is esports a sport?
Is golf a sport? Because I would say no.
Yes, it involves physical activity.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is chess a sport?
To a guy who,
my brain is a muscle. I'm working my muscle, killing Nazis across the street.
I want to hear Greg's answer.
Go, Greg.
I'm just going to say you're talking to a guy who only played like Warcraft 2 and Quake. And then after that, had like no time because I was working.
Well, that's enough video games to have an opinion, I think.
Those are some good. I played all of those.
Yeah, I played a lot
games.
of Quake.
Yeah, those were good. I enjoy those. Yeah, I think it's a real sport in the same way that chess is a real sport. That's all I got to say about that.
Good point.
Right,
good
all
point.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Ian disagrees. Ian says that chess isn't a sport.
Chess is not a real sport, man. You got to have like some sort of physical.
Bobby Fischer proved that it is, because you need physical fitness in order to be a great chess player.
To lift up the chess pieces? I mean,
no, to be mentally fit, you have to have some level of physical fitness.
I would say any type of competition is, in fact, can be classified as a sport.
Including beer pong?
And that's why they put adjectives in front of sports sometimes. Water sports, esports.
I'm not supposed to talk about that on the air, Conan. Thank you for the call, Greg. I appreciate it. Toll-free numbers, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here. And speaking about that, I did go take a bathroom break a couple times during this courtroom extravaganza. We'll tell you what happened coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Attention radio listeners, if you're concerned about the coming chaos after the November elections, this will be an extremely important message. Here's why. No matter what the outcome in November, catastrophic social upheaval is a very real possibility. Here's why this is important. Listen, we all know that silver and gold have been historic hedges against the uncertain waves of social chaos and unstable currencies. But did you know that there's been times in the past, during times of extreme hardship, when Americans put another store of value above even silver and gold? It's true, open-pollinated seeds have been and could very well be the ultimate store of value in the coming hard times ahead. Go to survivalseedbank.com to get heirloom seeds below wholesale. Visit survivalseedbank.com this week and get hundreds of dollars in free bonuses. Beat the coming chaos, beat rising food prices, but above all, don't wait. Beat the crowds by claiming your own Survival Seed Bank today.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was
kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Conan.
And it's Aria.
And also, I want to say thanks to Gavin, who is a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. Gavin contributing to the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It is a simple way for you to get behind what we do here on Free Talk Live to help us get on more radio stations around the United States, and it works. We've got over 190 radio stations that air the show at various times throughout the week. We're going to get two new ones coming up this weekend if all goes as planned, but I don't like to announce them in advance because something almost always goes wrong whenever I announce a station in advance. So stay tuned. We'll give you that info, but it's thanks to Free Talk Live amplifiers like you for helping us, and like Gavin for helping us get to where we are today. So we're going to continue here with your calls and thoughts, and then I'll talk more about my mask world, fear world experiences today, having to go to Concord, New Hampshire, where I was disallowed by a man in a robe from entering the courthouse without a mask. So my objections did not matter. Medical condition did not matter. Religious objection did not matter. Freedom of the press did not matter. Doesn't matter at all. I'm not welcome, and other people like me are apparently no longer welcome in these places. So I then went to another courthouse because I actually have a case that not my case, it's somebody else's case, and I don't want to say whose at this point. It's not relevant to the conversation, but I'm doing some research on this, or attempting to do some research on this case, and it's a local case in the Concord District Court, or at least I thought it was, because this person was arrested fairly recently, like within the last couple of weeks, and so I figured that they would have already filed the paper, so I wanted to go and look at the case file, which normally you just go into the court and you tell them which case you want to look at the file for, and they pull the file and they hand it to you, and you look through the file and you can take pictures of it and hand it back to them.
Okay.
That's normally how it works. So I'll explain to you what happened now under COVID at the local state district courthouse. But first, we go to your calls and thoughts. In fact, our first call that's actually functioned correctly so far on our new Matrix server. Gene called last night and his mic wasn't working. But Jane is working here. Jane, you're on our Matrix server over at chat.lrn.fm.
Thank you, Ian.
Calling from Patagonia, too. You're calling from Patagonia, which is South America, so welcome.
Thank you. First, I want to say to Aria that she's really beautiful and brave. I just read the news a couple of days ago, and I got dragged to Free Talk Live again. And I want to ask her about how was her transition process in relation with the Shire Society or the Free State Project speech, because really short story, I used to listen a lot to you until the Trump election, while Chris Cantwell was still there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I transitioned myself, and then I really stopped listening your media because was not really transparent for me. And today I'm reconnecting with you guys because I saw the Aria news. So I want to know her experience.
Well, welcome back. What was your transitioning experience, Aria? You came from Mississippi, but you didn't fully go all the way in down there, right?
Right. I had to live a double life there. I mean, where I had to continue my job and I had to do that as a male. But I mean, then, I was a male with bright red hair who was like growing little tiny boobs, right? So it was inevitable. The sword of Damocles was going to fall. So instead I left. I moved here to New Hampshire, and
Will Coley invited you to come up and join him here on the radio. He was doing his own show.
Yep. The Shire Society, the welcome here has been wonderful. I've never run into any serious issues other than the recent vandalism, which ultimately is not that major.
Wasn't there one guy who like pulled over as you were walking home one night a year ago?
Yeah.
And didn't he get weirded out or what happened with that? That was a kind of weird story.
I'm trying to remember why I was walking in the first place.
You were walking back home from something, and this dude, he wanted to give you a ride, and then he saw that you were trans and then got tweaked out or something, right?
I needed a new tire, and I had just taken my car there, but my phone was dying, and I needed my phone for something, so I just had to walk all the way back to my house to charge my phone for a little bit. And I say all the way back is, I don't know, maybe half a mile or something, but yeah. This dude pulled over and offered me a ride, and as I got closer, I couldn't hear what he was saying. I said, what? He shouted some expletives and said, you're a guy. And then he started to drive off, so I started laughing, but he didn't drive off, though. He just sort of sat there.
He's probably thinking about it. He's like
stared at you.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking about life, his life decisions.
Well, I mean, it got way worse than that because I walked around the vehicle and he's like waving me to come back over. I'm like, no, dude, you just made yourself really abundantly clear. I'm not coming back over there.
Maybe he wanted to apologize.
I don't think he did. He could have shouted an apology.
Yeah, who knows what he wanted to do.
Yeah, when you're trans and from Mississippi, you're used to that kind of crap, and you don't give them a second chance to invite you over.
But you didn't even think about it just now. I thought about it. So, I mean, have there
it
been...
didn't click.
You've been here, what, 2 years? 3?
A little over 2 years.
So, and you can't even count on one hand the number of times you've had any kind of negative incidents?
No, I can't. No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fill 2 hands. I can't even count the number of positive things that have been said to me.
I love your hair.
Yeah.
That's got to be the most popular, right?
It is so common, dude. I was walking down the street one day and some college girl said something like, you are everything I aspire to be. And it was just mind-blowing to hear something like that actually come out of my mouth, out of someone's mouth.
That's amazing.
So it's been overwhelming, creepily positive at times like that. Like, hey, can you tone it down a notch?
Jane, how is it down in Patagonia? And where are you? Are you Chile or Argentina?
Somewhere in between, but I was more interested in the intellectual side of the conversation instead of the relationship. Like, do you aspire? Do you have something like a libertarian contrapoint there?
What was the word? I'm sorry.
Contrapoints.
Yeah, it's a leftist.
She's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of her. She's very interesting.
Can you relate the question to us? Because I still don't know the question.
If do you have like how is the intellectual interaction? Because what I hear just recently about these sport questions, I cannot ignore that there is like a kind of hate behind. Do you feel that there?
Do I feel what? One more time?
Do you feel like trans hate?
Trans hate?
Republican.
Oh, trans hate.
Conservative people.
I don't associate with people who hate me. I just let them go hate me in private like they tend to do.
Yeah, so that was what you were saying before.
It's true that Marilyn Hudson, the figure in the Cheshire County Republican Committee, in interviews, she consistently refers to me as he.
I don't think that's a hateful thing.
I don't think it's... Well... She's doing it intentionally.
That could be the case.
So that's not an accident, right? Let's be real here.
She's really old.
So I mean, that's intentional. I wouldn't really call it.
I mean, she's
hate.
the kind of lady. Now she hasn't.
I would
said
call
this.
it petty.
She's the kind of lady that would, if she were in the South. Now we're in New England, right? But if she were in the South, she's like old enough to where she would say colored people, and she wouldn't mean anything. She wouldn't mean anything by it. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's the way my grandma was.
Bless your soul. You know what? We were talking about masks all evening, and I'm thinking that because we live in Keene is very liberal.
It is for New Hampshire.
I have never seen, and I don't hear about these stories. I've never heard black people telling me that someone was throwing racial slurs at them.
I have heard that.
But I mean,
I have heard that.
But I think that they have substituted it for something completely different, and that is the lepers who don't wear masks. I think that they're
getting the hate now.
The hate still exists, but it's not against trans and or any
God,
minorities.
I'm getting so sick of hearing about masks, dude.
Jane, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Me too, but unfortunately, it just keeps getting worse and gets shoved literally in your face every time you try to turn around.
I know.
And it's. I haven't even told you what's happening in Nashua yet, or what may be happening in Nashua. We'll get into that. Betty is on the line though in Michigan. You're listening on the radio. Go ahead, Betty.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
This does not sound like a woman.
This does not sound promising.
Doesn't sound like a human. Go ahead, Betty. This will be good.
Are you dehumanizing me?
No, you're just using a voice changer. Go ahead.
So just because I'm a transgender.
Okay. What was your call about?
Okay, anyway, before your rude comments, I was going to ask about what you think of the Netflix movie Cuties.
I have never seen it. Have the two of you seen that movie?
I haven't even seen the trailer.
I haven't had time to watch
I haven't
a movie
watched a movie
lately,
in months.
And if I was going to watch a movie, it wouldn't be that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen the arguments, pro and against, and I'm not interested. I think that depending on whether you're an artsy-fartsy and you can actually read into and you enjoy these types of documentaries, and or you are a pedo, you're going to get both parties are going to get something from this movie. And I don't even want to watch. I don't want to watch the trailer. I have kids.
Yeah,
this is not my thing.
I've had a movie sitting on my desk for a couple months now. I haven't picked it up and watched it. Thank you for the call tonight, Betty. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stricter standards. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what the FDA is reportedly setting for any vaccine for COVID-19. That's according to the Washington Post.
Which would make it unlikely that a vaccine could be produced and available by Election Day. This news comes as we pass the 200,000 death toll mark in the U.S. in just 8 months' time. It makes the U.S. the country with the highest confirmed death toll. And across the U.S., people still dying at an average now of about 770 per day. And as the cold weather comes, more people inside. That number could go up. In spite of the Washington Post report and in defiance of it earlier on, President Trump confirmed once again that he believes a coronavirus vaccine will be ready and available well before the end of the year.
Fox's Steve Harrigan, the president, said it was a shame that the U.S. had reached 200,000 deaths, and he repeated his claim that China was at fault for the pandemic and said it could have been much worse, adding if we didn't do it properly and do it right, you'd have 2.5 million deaths. He's now holding a rally in Western Pennsylvania. A court appearance for the woman accused of sending poison through the mail to the White House.
Pascal Ferrier, a Canadian, communicated in federal court through a French translator. She is charged with making a threat against the President of the United States. The letter was intercepted before it got to the White House. After that, Customs and Border Protection agents tracked down and arrested Ferrier near the U.S.-Canada border. Ferrier's hearing addressed a criminal complaint, so she did not have to enter a plea. Her next hearing, set for Monday, will address bail. She will eventually be extradited to the D.C. district, where the charge was initiated. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Vice President Mike Pence's plane, Air Force Two, forced to return to Manchester Airport in New Hampshire due to an engine issue. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 hasn't let up, but we have to keep this economy rolling. NetSuite will help your business make that happen. That's why over 21,000 companies, including Boll & Branch, makers of the world's softest sheets, choose NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. We talked to David Reed, CFO of Boll & Branch, about how they use NetSuite.
Before NetSuite, we were stitched together with spreadsheets and hope. Now I have only one source of truth for our financials, HR, inventory, and supply chain. Because NetSuite is cloud-based, working from home didn't change a thing. We're still bringing affordable luxury into homes all across America. I'm now closing the books 5 to 10 times faster thanks to NetSuite.
Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The state of Maine will make history with this year's presidential election.
Maine will be the first state to use ranked choice voting for a presidential election. The state Supreme Court says a Republican effort to force a new referendum on the issue came up short. The system, also known as instant runoff voting, works like this. You rank each candidate on the ballot, say 1 through 5. If no one gets 50% of the first place votes, you eliminate the last place candidate, replacing their first place votes with the number 2 on those ballots, and so on until someone gets 50%. The idea is to let people vote for long-shot independent and third-party candidates without essentially wasting the ballot. It was used for Maine's 2018 congressional elections. Chris Foster, Fox News.
An audit done by the state of California finds the University of California wrongly admitted at least 64 wealthy students over the past 6 years as favors to donors, family, and friends. And the audit found campus staff falsely designated 22 of the applicants as student-athlete recruits because of
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to friends, colleagues, and complete strangers, anxiety-ridden man Timothy Gibula is rightly ashamed of every single thing he does, with mere acquaintances saying they're constantly judging Gibula at every moment, just as he suspects.
Tim's the kind of guy who's forever second-guessing his behavior, as if everyone's constantly scrutinizing him, and he's completely correct. We all are.
We can spend entire afternoons picking apart Tim's taste in clothing and his receding hairline. It's honestly all we do when he's not around.
Anytime he awkwardly says excuse me when he's waiting in line for milk or sugar, anytime he fails to make eye contact with me when he asks me for the Wi-Fi password. Not only do I notice these things, but I use them to judge him fundamentally as a human being.
A 3-alarm fire that tore through a family home in Newark, Delaware early Saturday morning tragically claimed a half sleeve of Oreo cookies that were trapped inside a cupboard. At the time of the blaze, the residence was occupied by Mike and Sheila Donlan, their 3 young children, and 6 delicious chocolate sandwich cookies, all half dozen of which perished in the intense heat and towering flames.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, kicking off the third hour here. The toll-free number, should you wish to join us, take control of the airwaves, bring up whatever you want. Comment on the Chris Cantwell trial, which is getting some Associated Press coverage already. I did see the AP reporter there who works in New Hampshire. And so I'm kind of reporting on my experience, which is to say I didn't make it in because I wouldn't put a mask on, because I don't put masks on. That is against my religion, and I also have a medical condition. That's what I told the court today, and that didn't help. They still refused me access, refused me the supposed right, because you supposedly have a right to go into court and watch trials. Like, it's supposed to be an open public court system, with the exception of juvenile cases.
It's your building.
Well, they certainly forced people to pay for the building. I don't think that they would admit that it's my building, but they're supposed to have this illusion of, hey, we're open. Come on in. You can watch our trial. See?
Well,
See,
there were
it's not a
already
show trial.
conditions on entry,
Sure.
right? You couldn't carry a gun in.
No
you
cell
couldn't carry
phone.
any weapon. You couldn't carry a
No
cell
camera.
phone. So now you have to also wear a mask. These rights that we've been promised by the state have been conditional for a very, very long time. And if they're conditional, they're not right.
That's true. And they strip away one piece after another piece after another piece. And now they've got 2 separate classes of people, those who wear masks and those who don't. And the people who don't get treated very differently these days. So we're going to continue. Ian, Conan, and Aria in the studio. So I told my federal court denial, right? Like, all right, I can't get into federal court. Well, I got some other research to do. I'm in Concord. It's the state capital. And there just so happens to be a court case in the local district courthouse that I wanted to do some research on. I'd planned to call that court on the same day when I got a break, if I was in the trial or whatever.
Sure.
But since I was in Concord, I figured I'll just drive over. It's right down the street. See if I can go into this courthouse. Well, I park in the nearly empty parking lot for the Concord District Court.
Of course.
There's 2 cop cars in the parking lot. One has a cop in it. The other, the cop is out talking to some guy. He's the only guy in the parking lot, and they're just shooting it there in the parking lot. They seem like they're just getting along and having a conversation.
Masked up?
I don't think the cop had them.
Because that's one thing you don't often see. They're probably all wearing them in the courthouse, but
yeah.
We've seen cops walking around dealing with people.
Around here, they don't wear them.
They don't wear them.
But
well,
that's different in other places.
My experience has been different lately.
Really?
I've been seeing KPD drive around with their masks on.
Oh man, I've seen a mix more recently. Like for instance, the night they bust, you weren't there for it, but Nightcap.
Oh God, I wish I had been though. Would they still have done it if I had been there?
I don't know. It would have been entertaining though. Had you been, it was entertaining without you there, but it would have been an extra level if you'd been there. But they did finally come after Nightcap this week after somebody set off some fireworks in Central Square.
You guys speak about cumulative. You guys are doing the same thing in the other direction. You're seeing how much you can get away with.
Somebody did that.
That is literally what they were doing for sure.
Yeah, and it was
like,
awesome.
Okay, this is where we crossed the line.
Is this from people you know?
I'm not going to say who it was, but the cops believe they know who it was. They staked us out apparently because more than one firework was set off. They probably should have stopped it too. The third,
they have probably scheduled an extra 2 couple of cops just for this event to have them nearby just in case something gets rowdy.
The cop actually, one of them was stopped at the intersection when the second firework got, and so he saw the whole thing. And then I think they, at least if they're to be believed, and cops do lie, but one of them did claim that he was like hiding and watching, and he claims he saw the person who set off the firework allegedly, and so 3 cops then enter the central square. And they immediately spied the wine that somebody had left on like the water fountain there, the fountain, and they said, "Whose wine is this?"
I don't know, dude. It was here when we got here.
Well, nobody even gave them that much, right? Like, just no one claimed the wine. So of course they grabbed this mostly full box of wine.
Took it back to the
station. Was it one of the dark reds too?
It was the dark. Yeah, it was the dark.
Put it in the rec room.
Rec
room refrigerator.
There was no paperwork for this wine because they didn't have anyone to ticket.
Right.
So that wine just went right out to another cop that night, and they had a good time. And then after that, they targeted one person who they believed had set the fireworks off and said, "We're going to give you a ticket. If you don't ID yourself, we're going to arrest you." So
Did he ID?
He handed over the ID because they will take you in, and they will.
Otherwise, you'll be in jail for 60 days.
That's how my friend Sam got.
I thought you only had to ID if you were driving.
No. If they're going to write you a ticket, you have to. They have to know to whom to write the ticket.
Okay.
And if it's John Doe, then they take you into jail until they can figure out who you are.
Okay.
Basically, and then once they find out who you are, they write you the ticket and cut you loose. So
it would be pointless for me anyway. They would have no difficulty IDing me.
Sure. Right. So he's got a $155 ticket now, and he's going to take it to court. So we're going to get to go to court at some point, maybe, if they actually follow through with the trial.
And what is the violation?
Display of fireworks.
Right.
So it's apparently not allowed in Keene. Anyway, that's an aside. So I went to this other courthouse, right, the local district court, and as I'm walking up, the doors are closed. The sliding, automatically opening doors are closed, and there's a sign up that says you have to use the drive-through window. Like, there's a drive-through window at the courthouse?
They probably built it.
They may have.
Especially for this.
I don't know. Maybe it was there. They probably did put it in.
Get your religion on the go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And luckily it wasn't a line of cars because there was almost no one in the parking lot. So I'm like, all right, well, okay. So I get in the car, drive over there. I'm like, all right, I'm looking for this information on this person. They should be, there's a hearing date scheduled. But when they got arrested, the person did not receive the complaints. So they said, you've been charged with disorderly conduct. You've been charged with something else, some other BS charge. And here's your bail conditions and here's your arraignment date. But they didn't hand them the actual charging documents with the complaint written on them about exactly what they were alleged to have been doing. Mm-hmm. So you normally have to have that before you go to a court hearing. And the first lady that came up, she was acting helpful. Like, she's a young lady, right? Okay. So she was probably in her mid to late 20s, newer for the court. You could tell they hadn't wasted her soul away quite yet. She was still kind of kind and at least nice enough to treat you like a human being. And she got the name and she was, oh, well, you don't have her birthday, do you? And I'm like, no, I don't have the birthday. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't look it up without that because we don't have a case number because. As it turns out, nothing had been filed yet, but we didn't know that at this point. So I'm like, all right, well, I went away and I did some research and I got the birthday and I come back around. But this time it's an older woman, like the clerk of the court, like somebody who's grizzled. She's been there for, decades. And she's like, well, we don't do research. I'm like, well, I don't need you to do the research. I just need you to give me the file because this is what I'm used to. I'm used to going to the court, saying what case I need. They get the file. They pull the file. They give it to me and then I hand it back to them. Mm-hmm. But now they're like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. Oh, you can contact, and then they give me this piece of paper. And it's to the media, because I told them I'm with the media. And they said, well, it's to the Media Communications Division of the court. You can call them or email them. And God knows how long this takes, right?
This is just like my damn fire permit, dealing with
it's
the
getting
fire
more
department.
Centralized.
You can't even deal with the people anymore. You've got to get online.
Right.
You've got to fill out a paperwork, and you got to pay.
You can't go to the local
money.
You can't. It's state now. It's the local fire departments aren't doing it now. Now you got to go through the state. Same thing's true now with the courts. You can't go to the local court. You got to go through the state now. And so, all right, fine. Instead of the media communications, I know if I call the state court line, there's a helpline. They're usually fairly helpful. And so I'm going to talk to them before I try these media people, like this bitch said to me.
Sure.
So I call, leave the drive-through window, and I pull into the parking space in the parking lot, and I call up the court helpline. And so it's, okay, well, it's 11 callers on the line, but you can leave your number, and then we'll call you back. All right, fine. I got to do things on the internet. So I said, left my number. And so as I'm sitting there online, one of the cops that was in the parking lot walks up to my window. And I, of course, roll the window down just an inch or so. I'm like, can I help you with something? And the officer in this particular case, and of course, I did pull out video shortly after he started talking. He was like, well, I noticed when somebody noticed that you took a photograph of the building over there. Because I did. I took a picture.
God, man, Concord is so different from Keene.
I took a picture of the drive-through window. Like, I wanted a photograph of this drive-through court.
This is alien. This is 1984 Orwellian. We got to get evidence.
And so now an armed man is at my my truck window giving me a hard time over taking a picture of a public building. And we'll continue. This is Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany, but when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we had a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft, it's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want right here, toll free at 855-450-FREE. Also on our chat server over at chat.lrn.fm. That's actually where you get the instructions on how to actually join the chat server, but that's the easiest way to tell you to do it. So chat.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
And Aria.
We're recapping for you my ridiculous day. Where
sounds like it.
Sounds like a long, ridiculous day.
It was a long day of dealing with bureaucrats.
So you took a picture of this drive-thru, and then the cop
a drive-thru court,
you. Right? Did the cop pull the whole? Well, we're just making sure you're not a terrorist trying to look out for vulnerable
That's what
spots.
he was suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of the
That's
suggestion.
often what I see when people do this sort of thing online. I think they call them First Amendment tests or checks or something like that.
I've heard of these. Yeah, normally they go into a place, right, and record video just to see what'll happen.
Sometimes it's just them, recording the outside of a government building, and they get exactly the same result that you got.
Yeah.
Only theirs usually go on for presumably longer than yours did.
This was relatively quick.
I mean, didn't you see that cop show where the domestic terrorist was, snapshot he was walking around the perimeter of the courthouse, and then the next day he came and he blew it up. It was on that cop show. I saw
so
it.
It must be true.
It must be
right?
true. It happens all the time on that cop show.
Yeah, all of them cop shows.
Yeah,
There's a
all
bunch
of them.
them.
Every single week, there's
People
a
love
new
those shows.
federal building being blown up.
And so I do have video of my interaction with the cop, which again I'll usually let a cop say a few an initial thing before I pull the camera out.
Sure.
Just to kind of see, just to feel out the thing. Like, I do like the idea of getting everything on the record, but just to give him the chance to be off the record. Like, if he was just going to be cool for whatever reason, which is highly
I've
unlikely.
encountered that with police before.
Every now and then, yeah. So, like, a good example would be the cop that came up to my porch few weeks ago. And I didn't pull the camera out. He kind of leaned out his window and he wanted to talk. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to tell me how frustrated he was about the mask ordinance.
Ooh.
And that he'd been pushed over the edge. And it would have made good video, but he wouldn't have said it if it was on
exactly,
video.
right.
So I always give him the chance to just say the first thing, to give a feel for what's going on. But he was definitely investigating me, and so I pulled out the camera. So
you let him get the mask stuff out, and then he went into full investigatory mode.
Well, no, I mean, that's what it was. It was. He didn't say anything about the mask. I was all alone in a parking lot.
I thought you were talking about the guy
No.
who
This
pulled
was
up
the
in the front
cop
of the house.
harassing me outside in the parking lot outside of the court, where he's wondering if I was taking pictures for nefarious reasons or whatever. So here's
I'll take some pictures of you right now, if that's all right. So you were saying that it's weird to take a picture of a courthouse?
From the way it was described to me, when you walked right up to the window.
And yes, he is muffled because he is wearing a mask in this video. So I'll try to turn it up.
And he didn't even see this. Some Karen ratted you out.
Well, it was actually, I don't know if I got this on the video, but he admits it was his other officer. Remember, there were two cops in the parking lot, one in her car. This was the guy that was shooting the S with the other dude in the parking lot, and then he saunters over to investigate me. So anyway, dude's in a mask. I got my window like an inch or two down, and so here comes the interaction.
Courthouse?
From the way it was described to me, when you walked right up to the window within about 3 feet.
Yeah, I'm actually going to drive up to that window here in just a moment.
Yeah.
Because I've got some business.
Inside the courthouse, someone strikes that as that's odd to them.
Yeah.
So if you
and
wanted
this
to
was
take
another
a picture,
officer of yours that said this?
If you wanted to take a picture of the courthouse,
Yeah.
most people would stand back and take of the architecture. But
Mhm.
to walk up straight real close to a window and kind of point the camera in the window like you're taking pictures of people inside the window.
By the way, I was
can do that as well,
probably
can't you?
100 feet away from this window. I was not. I was not doing what he was describing me doing.
But that's not.
But that would have been my right to do too.
Exactly. But that is not what he would say during your trial.
That's right.
If it ever went that far, he would say that you were right in the window. You had your nose up. You were
that's what he
you're
is saying
breathing
right
on
here.
the glass. Yeah, that's what he just said.
Right, and it's not true.
I don't feel like I was close enough to the window, honestly, just because.
Don't shoot the
you know,
messenger, okay?
Yeah.
I just got this, and I said I'll go over and.
So I'm
ask him
saying
if
I
he's
took a
contract.
bad
What-
picture because I wasn't close enough. in this
What's your
case.
name?
Officer Russell.
Officer Russell. What's your first name?
Joseph.
Joseph. All right, Joseph.
So I said maybe he's a contractor. We'll go see what it is. That's kind of our job sometimes, is to rule out
Yeah.
the suspicion that people have.
Oh God! Because someone is trying to blow your stupid building up every week, just like that cop show. Oh.
Their job isn't to rule out suspicion.
He's investigating. That's what he's doing. He wants to see what I'm doing. He wants to ask me questions, but I'm asking him some questions here.
That people have, and just check base. If there's no issues, then there's no issues.
All's well with me.
Any response to why you were taking pictures at the?
I don't have to answer your questions.
You don't.
Yeah.
Are you a contractor?
Like I said, I don't have to answer your questions.
You're absolutely 100% correct.
Right.
All right. I appreciate your time, sir.
Investigation complete. He's gone.
Oh God, I love it, man.
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah, so that was one of the police encounters that I wasn't expecting to have, right? Like
Sure.
but that's the thing. If you show up around these bureaucrats, they're going to do things you aren't necessarily expecting if you're around them
Unless
for long enough.
everyone talks to them like you just did. And
Or rather doesn't talk to them, because I didn't give him anything useful.
Well, he
right?
was
You know
he
I
was
answer
rather
questions.
polite.
He was polite.
And he acknowledged the fact that, hey, you're right, you don't have to answer this.
Yep.
Bye.
And then he asked another question.
He does, yes. But you reiterated it, and
Right? And he gave up.
Yeah.
Well, most people don't know that they don't have to talk to
That's
the
right.
cops.
They don't.
They don't know that.
They know.
You have the right to remain silent. Use it.
Well, and that's where the friendly demeanor helps them, right? So, like, you can give him credit for not being a jerk, but that's helpful for him because it makes people blab. It makes them, oh, he's just being nice. He's just asking me questions. So the other one that is worth mentioning, so the security guard, the one that I mentioned to you that we ran into first when we walked into the courthouse, the federal court, this guy named Joe, head of security. Well, so the whole thing happens. I get denied. I go back to my car, which is parked across the street from the courthouse, sort of around the back across the street. And obviously it's within camera vision of the court. So they know where I am. They know that I'm there.
Sure.
And I'm on my laptop. I'm doing things. I'm writing blog posts or whatever it is I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, Joe, the head of security, pops up at my driver's side window. And he's come from behind my car. Now, mind you, my car is facing the courthouse. So he's walked around and behind me to come up behind the car.
Spooky.
Up to the driver's side window. And he asks me, I was like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, because we're friendly, me and Joe. And I was like, yeah, can I help you or whatever? And he says, do you have a firearm secured in this vehicle?
I'm not answering that.
And
what the hell?
Yeah, and I'm like, well, first of all, it's none of your business. I said something to the effect, I don't think that's any of your business, so I'm not going to answer your question. But then I said, but I do appreciate your concern, right? Because if you're going to have a gun in the vehicle, what he ended up saying was, well, if you've got a firearm in the vehicle, I just want to make sure you're securing it when you leave the vehicle.
Why?
It was a very strange question.
Isn't it secure if it's in a locked vehicle?
Well, that's what he was wanting to supposedly wanting to check on.
Or did he want you to take it to him to secure in his little safe?
I don't think he was
locker?
offering that because it would be illegal to walk into that building with a gun. So I don't think he was
it's
offering
not
that.
like Cheshire County where you can actually.
That's right. Totally different.
All right. So there's no. All right. Gotcha.
Right. In Cheshire County and in New Hampshire state courts, you can walk in with a gun and hand it to court security and check the gun at the front desk.
Yeah. So this cop,
first of all, he approaches from the. This is
From
bad.
behind.
This is bad approach of vehicle etiquette. You don't do that.
And he wants.
Well, you
to
do
know.
if you're a predator.
Yes,
And
that's
he
right.
wants to know if I have a gun in the vehicle.
He just walks up to you and asks you this.
Yes. And then he asked me again. After I refused to answer the question, he then asked me again if I have a firearm in the vehicle.
So how did this play out?
Well, I didn't answer his question, number one, but I assured him that I appreciated his concern.
Did he leave?
He then left. So, yeah, why he did that, I'm not clear.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Despite years of warnings about cryptocurrency, criminals prefer U.S. dollars for money laundering, study shows. Jim Rogers predicts end of U.S. dollar dominance. Macro strategist Raul Paul says Bitcoin beats gold in every way. New crypto, sushi, plummets around rumors of exit scam. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, or hop into our new Matrix chat server. Just go to chat.lrn.fm to get step-by-step instructions on how to do that. And don't forget to go to ForkFest 2021. Mark your calendar right now. It's happening June 28th through July 4th, 2021, the 5th annual ForkFest. It's a decentralized libertarian camping festival, which means no one's in charge. But everyone's also in charge because you're in charge of yourself, and so you do what you want. Aria, you threw a concert, among other things, this year at ForkFest, and it's actually getting some play in some metal magazines. Oh, what do you mean, unfortunately?
It was not a good show.
But I thought it was great.
In our defense, well, I mean, sure,
I'm easy to please, though.
I mean, in our defense, we threw the band together in like 5 weeks.
Yeah, you guys rocked for 5 weeks, of practice, I thought. Anyway, people can make
I would
up
say
their
for
own mind.
5 weeks of practice, we did good.
Yeah. People can make up their own mind because I put the video online, and you can go watch it on the Free Keen YouTube channel. But go check out Forkfest at forkfest.party, forkfest.party. All right, so finally, we're done with the court talk. I've recapped all the crazy cop encounters, the mask mandates, the madness. But at some point, after sitting outside for a few hours outside of the court, because what I wanted to do was wait out there to get the judge's order, right? Like, I'm not just going to go home. There's a chance, albeit a small one, there was a chance the judge was going to let me in at some point.
Sure.
So I was waiting outside, and I figured, well, if I'm still here when Vincent comes out for lunch, I'll, get a rundown from Vincent about what's going on. He is still supposed to call in here tonight, and so hopefully we'll get him on maybe in the final segment. But so in this particular case, I had to hit the bathroom, and I can't go into the courthouse. They won't let me in. And generally, it's hard to find public bathrooms under the whole COVID crackdown because a lot of businesses are closed. Some of the places that would have been open before. So I just pulled up Waze, pulled up the gas stations, went to a nearby gas station. I didn't want to go to one on Main Street because you have to pay for parking. So I went to one of the other ones. And I come out, walking up to the doors, and there's a sign on the door, of course, masks required, no exceptions, by city ordinance. Like, oh yeah, Concord passed a mask mandate. All right, here we go. So I walked into this gas station, an Irving gas station, and luckily, as I walked in, I noticed the bathroom door was open and like immediately to my right. Like 5 steps away. So I just walked right into the bathroom, closed the door.
Don't give them a chance to deny you.
They didn't even notice, me walking in. And at that point, when I finished, relieving myself there, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to go buy something because, I use their bathroom. It's the right thing to do to give the business buy a bottle of water or a candy bar or something like that, right? So I walk out and I'm starting to browse through the store. No sooner than I had gotten to like the first aisle, there's some young man with a mask on who works at the store confronting me, saying that you have to have a mask on to be in here. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I've got a medical objection or condition or whatever it was I said." And so then he kind of stumbled over his words because he probably doesn't have to do this too often. Mm-hmm. It's probably a nerve-wracking.
It's also beyond his pay grade to deal with. Yeah.
It's definitely like an adrenaline experience to have to talk to somebody in this way. And I'm not mean, right? Like I'm trying to be as kind as possible, but still
you're just assertive.
Asserting myself that, hey, I've got a medical concern here. And so he says, well, it's a city ordinance. And I say to him, because here in Keene, New Hampshire, they will fine the business if they catch you in a store without a mask on, without a medical exemption. If you have the medical exemption, they're not supposed to fine the business. So I say to him, well, are they going to fine you guys? Or are they going to fine me if they show up to issue a fine? He says, well, they'll fine the individual. They'll fine you.
Well, that's an improvement.
And I say to him, well, I'll just take my chances then. Thank you. And I sort of turn around to start, continuing to shop to try to buy something from these people. And just figuring he would, leave me alone at that point. But then the manager walks up to me. And she says, you can't be in here without a mask, sir. And I said, well, I've got a medical and a religious objection here. And she says, oh, okay, well, you can stay in if you've got a medical objection, but I'm going to ask you to stand by the door.
But you can't shop.
That's right.
Were you supposed to yell out what you want?
She says she'll do the shopping for me.
And get her grubby hands all over your stuff.
Right? And not that that's my concern, but I do my own shopping. I'm not, crippled. I don't need somebody else to do my shopping for me. So
what if you want to see what the options are?
Right. I have to know what I want when I'm going in there so I can tell her to go and get it for me. And so it's unacceptable, right? Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, all right, well, I tried to buy something from you guys, and you don't want my business, so I'm sorry, I'm going to go. And I start to walk out of the store, and then she pipes up that it would be for my protection. So she's saying the reason why they want me to stand by the door is to protect me from getting sick from the other customers.
From who?
In the
Everyone's
store.
Masked up. Everyone's masked.
See, this is the issue
one.
here, though, is that's scientifically invalid.
Mm.
You're not at risk by not wearing a mask. The argument is that you're putting them at risk but it's not for your health that she wanted you to wear a mask.
That's what they've all been saying, but she says differently. She says it
because
is for
she's
my
as
health.
ignorant as the anti-mask people.
So she
and
says
that's why this whole thing is garbage.
Well, okay, so here's the last part. So she says it's for my health. And I says, well, I'm not worried. As I'm walking out, I'm not going to come back regardless of what she says. It's like, look, I'm not worried, I say to her. And she says, well, we are.
Have a safe day.
Yeah.
Maybe when she says it's for your health, maybe she means if you don't wear the mask, it will prevent you from getting hood stomped by the next redneck that comes through and decides to slam you.
Wait, rednecks are slamming people?
No, I'm saying that it might lead to this. This is where it seems like it might be going. The more people have been beat up. There was one guy who got shot when this first started, months ago in a Family Dollar or something.
That's been very, very rare, though.
Yeah,
that was months ago. It hasn't escalated since.
Because most people comply.
Yeah.
And they don't go in there. I think this kid who had to deal with Ian, it might have been the first guy he ever had to deal with. He's like, we're alien.
Or I might have been the first one who didn't put it on when he told him to. Because there's probably some people who've got it in their pocket and they'll put it on if they're. That's what Mark was saying he does. He was here earlier today.
He just has one laying around, ready to go.
He has one in his pocket. He'll put it on when someone says something to him, like, well, you're just contributing to this, right? He's acting like he's, doing something by waiting to put it on. But as long as you're bowing down, as long as you're doing what they say, then you're part of the problem ultimately. So that was my my bathroom break story. I was successfully able. I was also later able to slip into a McDonald's, and there they weren't even able to see me come and go, so I didn't have any issue with that one. But,
you mean not through the drive-thru, but you went into the building?
Went into the building.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know their lobbies were open again.
So now
they are for takeout.
So now Nashua
you cannot sit down and eat.
Jesus, really?
Yeah, they actually have the screens, the ordering screens. They're off because they don't have anyone inside. There's almost no one goes in.
That's absurd.
And the parking lot was almost completely empty, with the exception of a few cars where people are shoving the food in their face, and then the line of cars
because they can't eat inside.
One of the first cities who tried the mask ordinance in New Hampshire was Nashua.
Oh, thank you for bringing me around to that.
And then I guess that fell through the table to the floor. They couldn't figure out how to.
No, they passed it.
Well, now it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, so where are they at? Where are they at the moment?
It's going to get worse. There's a new proposal in Nashua. This, according to the union leader in a story published yesterday. The new proposal states that, quote, no business and no employee of any business shall provide goods or services to any person not complying with face covering requirements. No business and no employee of any business shall permit a person to remain on its premises in violation of these requirements. You will not be served, according to this new proposed ordinance in Nashua, if you are not a mask person.
Yeah, you know what they call that?
They cannot serve you.
They call this the mark of the beast. No goods, no shopping, no dealing with the shop owners unless you get their special permission slip, which is their hall pass, which is their stupid face covering. This is disgusting.
This is about as bad as it could get.
This is beyond disgusting. Yes, this is. I mean, you're underestimating it to call this disgusting. This is almost as bad as it could possibly get. Yeah. They're saying you can't buy groceries.
That's what they're saying.
If you don't wear a mask,
that's
you can't buy water.
That's a human rights violation.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're going to get away with it too.
And people will support them in this.
Yeah. So there's some protests.
It's way beyond disgusting.
There's some protests that have been started in Nashua, and one of our friends, Footloose, who we had on the show, and he was at Fork Fest and the Porcupine Freedom Festival. He's helping organize these things. But man, this is really bad. More coming up.
With a MechTech carbine conversion unit, you can turn an XD family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MechTech is excited to announce our pistol carbine conversion unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MechTech is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here in these remaining moments. It's been quite a crazy day. Crazy court experiences, cop interactions, masked people, mask madness, and now it's looking really bad in the city of Nashua, New Hampshire, where a proposed mask ordinance, I didn't mention this in the last segment, but according to the story at the Union Leader, the proposal to mandate no business and no employee of any business shall provide goods or services to any person not complying with face covering requirements. No business and no employee of any business shall permit a person to remain on its premises in violation of these requirements. So not only can you not be served as an unmasked person in Nashua if this passes, but also they must trespass you, basically, tell you to leave or else. And or else there'll be a penalty for them, I suspect.
I know I assumed this would be true for the original mask ordinance, but I can't imagine this surviving the court system, this ordinance.
Well, the first ordinance was already challenged in state court, and that is still pending, I believe, a full hearing. The judge denied the injunction on that particular case, so we're still waiting to hear that one, from what I understand.
And by listening,
and that may take a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly. That we've already been discussing how Cantwell has waited a year in jail to have his case seen. I mean, how long is this going to go ahead until it goes through?
Good question. And by the way, speaking of Cantwell, do we have Vincent with us? Vincent? No, he's trying to call in, and it's not working out. Let's see. Vincent needs to call the regular phone lines. Anyway, so we're going to continue here. Any other comments on this Nashua madness, guys? Because they're apparently voting on this tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking at their live stream right now. They're talking about some building project or something, so I guess they either are saving it for the last or they've already discussed it and voted on it. But this is disgusting. This is, and I'm looking at a bunch of Karens, too. I see 4 people.
You're talking about in the audience?
The actual aldermen.
Oh, the aldermen themselves. Okay.
Bunch of Karens, and just and they're only doing it to protect you, Ian. It's for you.
Frank, who's the guy, he's Footloose is his real name, Frank Staples. They interviewed him for this particular story. He said, quote, we should have the freedom to choose. He said, these are illegal mandates. You can't suspend the Constitution. You just can't do it. It's extortion. Do we really think an airborne virus is going to play nice because you wear a mask from the door to the table in a restaurant? It's just absurdity, he says. So, yeah, there have been
You have the right to not enforce the laws of the government.
What do you mean you have the right to?
You have the right to not act as a police officer telling people...
As their unpaid agent?
Yes, yeah. Telling people that they're breaking the law and they have to leave, or you're calling the next level of law enforcement over to deal with them. You have the right to not be a police officer.
I totally agree.
This is true.
Unfortunately, they're all
afraid. They're all scared.
That's the thing. In order to have your rights, you have to exercise them. So, yeah, you can say you have a right all you want, but if you don't actually make the stand and say, I am standing on my rights, I am exercising my rights, I will not be your serf, I will not be your slave, I will not be told what to do, then you have a chance at having your rights.
But see, the workers can't do that. The business owners have to be the ones to make that decision.
That's the problem.
They have to be the ones to say, no, I don't hire these people to enforce the government's laws. That's not why I hire any of these people.
Well, no, actually, the employees, if they were all to do it at once, in unison, you have a lot of power. I've already walked away from one job during this nonsense. I've quit a job. I let them know. Look,
that's what it takes.
Look, you know that I'm a good worker. You know I'm competent. Here's my number. You know how to get a hold of me. Whenever this goes away, you go ahead and call me up, and I'll come back to work for you. If we had all done that, just like that, over, they would have been like, oh, what are we going to do now?
They would have just gotten money from the government.
No, or hire some scabs, except if everyone was to do it.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's not going to do it. But if a significant number of good employees did it, then it would be really tough.
Bring them to your knees overnight.
But most people aren't willing to take that kind of risk.
Well, they don't. And it's just like these things. It's just like the abolition of slavery in this country. It was cumulative. It was over many, many years. The idea was there, but not everyone realized that their neighbor felt a certain way. And it wasn't until people actually started coming out and talking about it and being vocal that their neighbors are like, oh, wait, hold on. I've been feeling like this for years, and my neighbor, who I thought was a straight racist like everyone else, feels the same way that I do. Well, what's in this crap? What's in this nonsense?
But now you can't come out and talk about it with your neighbors because they're not having public meetings anymore. They're all online, on Zoom.
And or the Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Take your posts down. If you violate the CDC or the HW,
you can't say anything that goes against the government's official line.
So they don't know. They don't know where people stand.
And this comes back around to the problem that we were talking about earlier with the court. Now you can't go to the court and just do something. You have to go through the central office. Now you can't go to do the fire department. You've got to go to the central office.
Right.
So now everything has become more centralized with this, like as though the state weren't already centralized enough. Now it is more centralized than it's ever been. It's harder than it's ever been to get an actual person to talk to you, to do anything for you. You can't hold them accountable. They're even less accessible than they've ever been. You can't get in the same room with these people anymore. I mean, all the window dressing around the state, it's being ripped away.
And yet people aren't.
And they're not disobeying.
They're not doing away with it.
That's right.
And that's why I repeatedly said that the best thing that can come from all this, especially like the school system, parents waking up to the fact that, hey, what are my kids having to deal with? And they're not even getting a good education?
That's another example.
I have an idea. I'm not sending my kids. And then where's all my property tax going? Because there's no kids in school anymore.
They're not going to cut the budget.
But I want to see every damn government agency, every department have to deal with the same thing with the fire department. What am I paying for? I can't even get a fire permit anymore? What am I paying for?
I guarantee you they're not cutting the budget. They're going to keep increasing the budget.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Because of new rules and new having to hop over new COVID regulation, new policies. We've got to build new glass windows on our building.
Oh, get this. Alderwoman June Karen says June Karen.
Her name is Karen.
Spelled C-A-R-O-N, but still. June Karen said the proposed change for the mask mandate will not infringe on a person's rights.
No, it won't.
Explaining businesses already refuse service if a person isn't wearing a shirt or shoes.
But not because the law tells them
right.
to.
That's right. By amending the existing mask ordinance, police will have a better grasp on the enforcement situation, according to Karen. Some aldermen say...
Yes, by turning every business into a faction of the police department, the police will, by definition, get a better handle on the situation.
They'll have eyes and ears
You have
everywhere.
cops everywhere now.
Some aldermen say the proposed revision to the
these
ordinance...
people claim to be anti-police overreach,
Well,
anti-police brutality.
Nashua alderman?
Not this Karen. Not this Karen. She doesn't. She
when you say these people.
She probably wants to be. She probably has dreams about waking up with a badge on, and she's
badge bunny.
She's got a little switch, which she switch her hand, just like a little Catholic, the Catholic school teacher.
When you say these people, who do you refer
I just mean people on the left in general.
Okay.
Right. They claim to be against police brutality, against police incursions on our lives, against all of this nonsense, and yet here we are actively turning every single business owner in Nashua into a cop
and worker. Because there's a threat here. We'll get to the threat.
Yeah, your Burger King worker, your McDonald's worker now, they are a cop working for an unemployed, but because the government's not going to pay them.
Are they cops or are they deputies? They've been deputized to be little Karens.
Some aldermen say the proposed revision to the ordinance, which would now prohibit businesses and employees from providing goods or services to anyone without a face mask who does not have a doctor's note, will help businesses and police enforce the issue. If the ordinance is revised, it could subject employees, including teenage workers, to a fine of up to $1,000 determined by the court.
I don't know how to tell people this, but businesses enforcing the laws of the government is literal fascism. That is literally what it is.
This is true.
This is true. You said that this afternoon on an interview that you were doing. What was their response when you said that?
Which interview was it?
I don't know. The one you were the metal guys.
I heard brains popping through the speakers. I could just hear people. Eyes.
She had headphones on, so I don't know what they said.
Eyes.
I don't recall either, but you can watch it on YouTube. You can
Tonight you'll have the link up at Aria for Sheriff. Aria4Sheriff.com.
Yeah, or fpolice.com.
Which is spelled
police.
Either way, we got to spell it.
Yeah.
So,
I like giving out F police though.
Up to $1,000 fines for a teenage worker, for any worker.
Your 16-year-old McDonald's. This is why people like you are ultimately screwed, because it's not worth it to the 16-year-old at the drive-thru window. She can't take that risk.
No, that's like 4 weeks worth of pay.
The state has her over the barrel. The state has perfectly positioned everyone to be beholden to them and have to enforce their mandate.
This is terrifying level.
Yeah,
tyranny.
This is one of the worst things that I've heard in this year, and I've heard some really bad things this year.
And they are voting on this as we speak. We do not have an update on it yet.
And we're just getting going.
And we'll get one in Keene next if it passes there in
Well,
Nashua.
at the very least, we are suing here in Keene, you and I, Aria, and that story hopefully will hit a bit of a wider...
We have to nip this crap in the bud, man.
We're doing what we can.
I know.
And thanks for being here, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow night. You can join us online in the meantime. Aria's heading up the show tomorrow. So we're flipping the seats this week. It's Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He says it could have been much worse. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump reacting as the number of dead from COVID-19 in the U.S. is now over 200,000.
Well, I think it's a shame. I think if we didn't do it properly and do it right, you'd have 2.5 million deaths. If you take a look at alternatives, you could have 2.5 million deaths.
The president again said China was at fault for the pandemic. He made the comments before heading to Western Pennsylvania for a rally. This is the CDC is out with some alarming news about the spread of the virus on airplanes.
Some new data and research published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than 11,000 airline passengers may have been exposed to COVID-19. Now, the good news here is that the data specifically refers to airline passengers on planes in other countries. There has not been a single case of infection on confirmed flights here in the United States. The CDC reports that overseas there have been 1,600 known individuals who flew while infected, and that threatened to infect another 11,000 people on those planes. John Saucier, Fox News.
New York City's health department says it's identified a new cluster of cases of the virus in Brooklyn and said there's a marked uptick in infections there and in some other neighborhoods, which is a cause for significant concern. In a bipartisan vote, the House has passed a temporary funding bill averting the threat of a government shutdown. Before heading to Pennsylvania, the president also confirmed that he will make a formal announcement on his Supreme Court nominee in days.
I'm getting very close to having